let's start the show.
It's November 29th, 2012. Welcome to This Is Only a Test, the official podcast of Tested.com. I'm Will Smith. Joining me today, Norman Chan. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine.
You're looking remarkably three-dimensional today.
Yeah, it's nice being all fleshed out.
So it's having a sweater. It's a rainy day in San Francisco. Joining us via the magical power of the internet, Gary Whitta. How you doing, Gary?
Yes, live via satellite.
You've gone full iMac.
Actually, I'm on my PC right now.
Well, for us, you're on an iMac.
How ironic! I'm on my Windows PC at home, and yet I'm coming at you via the iMac on your desk.
From inside the internet, Gary
Whitta.
Whitta.
You put that tested sticker over the Apple logo as well, just like on a sitcom or something.
No free advertising for those Apple swine.
Promotional consideration.
You know,
provided by Tested.com.
I learned something fascinating a few weeks ago.
Why don't I do it like this every week? This is much better. I don't have to get in the car and drive anything.
We need to get you a better mic, I think, if we're going to do this every week. But I learned that Apple doesn't pay for product placement ever.
Never. No, they have to say, "Oh, it's okay. We like your show enough that we will let you use our logo."
Do they provide stuff?
No.
Yeah. So like, if you see Apple products on a set, it's because they couldn't get anybody else to pay for it. I guess is basically it, right?
Well, I think 30 Rock might be the exception to that because they flagrantly show Apple products, and in the credits it even says something like promotional consideration provided by Apple.
Oh, so maybe they do get product because it's the best show on TV.
That's right.
Best comedy. At least.
I don't think it's a case where someone at 30 Rock, and I could be wrong, 30 Rock production company went over to Apple and pitched them and said, "Hey, give us some money, or Liz Lemon is going to use a PC or a BlackBerry."
Yeah. Liz Lemon seems like the BlackBerry. Wait, no, that's not right. It's a show about creatives. Of course, Apple's going to get behind that. So what's going on in the news? You want to just jump right into it? Let's see. Thanksgiving. How was Thanksgiving, everybody? I forgot last week was Thanksgiving. It seems like so long ago. 7 days ago today.
Last week was Thanksgiving. It was delicious.
Yeah.
Leftovers all done?
There's a carcass in my fridge still, but only because the trash doesn't come until tomorrow. So that's the problem with trash pickup on Friday morning. Is that you can't eat enough of the turkey to put the carcass in the trash on Friday, so then it lingers in the fridge for a whole week.
You could alternatively drive to a neighborhood where trash pickup is Monday or Tuesday and then dump in someone's compost.
Man, that's stealing trash. That's against the law. That's dumping. There's laws against that. We live in a society, Norm.
Yeah, I mean, you could just go out and tip it all out in the street and just let someone else worry about that too.
Yeah,
why not?
No, but it goes to the right place. The compost bin is green. Like if you're walking down the street and you have trash in your hand, and you're saying, "Do not put it in someone's."
That is stealing their trash.
Would you rather throw it in the street? Or
no,
I
carry it until I put it back in the trash can.
If you were walking outside your house or parking your car, or whatever, and you saw someone come by and throw a bag of their garbage into your,
if I had space in mine,
wouldn't you object to that?
No, if I pay for the extra large one.
Yes, you pay
because you have like 8 people that live in your house. Just because you're running a tenement doesn't mean everybody else should benefit.
Some people, if there's space in my trash and they don't break the rules, like they don't put full boxes of stuff in the wrong place, and they're using, and it's better in my trash bin where it's going to go to, get processed and not go on the street. Yeah, kids.
Oh, this is very public spirited of you. I didn't expect this attitude.
And there's the person who goes by every night or trash night and digs through your garbage and takes out all the cans.
The hobo?
Well, could be a hobo, could be someone, entrepreneurial, spirited.
Someone who's really into recycling.
Dead Sea Thieves, that's a popular pastime.
Yeah. Or someone who wants the cash redemption, 5 cents each can.
If they could be working the Michigan scam.
That's a totally fine thing to do, as long as they don't disrupt the normal process.
Now, see, this is a problem that I face all the time because I walk the dog. The dog poops. We live in the burbs, so there's no trash cans on the corners. So that means either you dump the poop bag in somebody else's trash, or you carry it all the way back home. I carry it home. Well, she might poop again. Sometimes she poops twice.
Which bin does the dog poop go in?
See, it depends on your municipality. Because in San Francisco, you were absolutely not supposed to put dog poop in the compost.
Correct.
In Pacifica, You are allowed to put dog poop in the compost, but only as long as it's not ensconced in any kind of bag. I am not in the business.
It's strange that they don't let you.
Wait, so they want you to
Strange they
hold the
don't let you put
dog?
poop in the compost, because I always thought that was like a
Oh, we're losing
we're
Gary.
breaking
Max
up.
Gary is in full effect here.
fertilizer.
Carnivore poop is different than herbivore poop because cow poop maintains more nutrients than
So you're saying
than dog
it's
poop.
okay for dog poop to go into the compost in Pacifica as long as you hold the dog on top of the compost and shake
And squeeze.
and squeeze or shake.
Or you take the poop in the bag and you dump it out into the compost. I'm not doing either of those things, so our dog poop goes in the trash can.
Well, I shouldn't be pooping in the garbage either, right? Because I eat meat.
You don't poop. Well, you eat meat and vegetables.
For the record.
I'm going to go plug Gary into Ethernet while you keep talking, Norm.
All right, yeah, because
Do you have me on Wi-Fi?
brilliant.
Oh my god! What is this, amateur hour?
No, seriously.
Unbelievable.
Good thing this computer still has Ethernet built in. We might live in the future one day where if you were on a MacBook Pro or something, a new one, you would not be tethered to the Ethernet. It's a long cable as well as
That's right. I mean, if you've got a new Mac, you don't have an optical drive or Ethernet.
That's
in
right.
fact.
Yeah. Yeah. So how did you spend your Thanksgiving weekend, Gary, outside of the actual meal? Did you
Outside of the meal, we mostly spent it at home sitting around eating leftovers, like most people.
It's good.
We ate a lot of leftovers.
Did you prepare food in anticipation of having leftovers? Like, did you?
Yeah, well, I mean, we had a lot of leftovers left over, and then what was cool was once we ate all the leftovers from the meal, we actually went out to the market and bought more leftovers.
You can buy.
We just went out and bought more mashed. Yeah, you go to a market where they do like catered Thanksgiving stuff. The day after Thanksgiving, they still have like whole tubs of gravy and
so they
mashed
technically
potatoes
are leftovers.
All the that you want. So we just went out and bought leftovers.
Wow.
And then ate them. And then we ate lots of pie and cake and ice cream, and yeah, it was pretty good.
That sounds wonderful.
What about you? What did you do? How was your Thanksgiving?
It was good. I had turkey. My housemate, Wes, did not fly home, so he and his friend had their own little Thanksgiving. Unfortunately, and they tried remember last year for Tested, we did the deep frying of turkey. We had 2 deep fryers, a traditional gas deep fryer, which is the dangerous kind. It's the kind where the oil can spill out, hit the fire, and explode. William Shatner is totally on the case with this, warning people not to burn down their garages. We also had the electric deep fryer, which was a little tougher to clean. I think it was a Butterball, actually, a Butterball electric deep fryer. And that's one that Wes decided to use, but he did not get a turkey ahead of time. So,
That was the one we said don't use because it was scary and the turkey was too big for it.
no, that's why you buy a smaller turkey.
Well,
we had
I
like
mean,
a 20-pound
I
turkey last year,
suppose.
or 16-pound turkey last year. He wanted to buy like a 10-pound turkey or 8 to 10-pound turkey. Apparently, they sell those turkeys in that size. But all they had, even on the day of Thanksgiving, they took all the turkeys out of the freezer aisle into bins or something.
Yeah,
to defrost.
and
And those are still too frozen to deep fry. You don't want to deep fry a frozen turkey. That'd be bad.
yeah, that is real bad. Fire everywhere.
Yeah.
So you want to talk about tech news? Have we talked about Thanksgiving enough?
Did you any shopping? Any
I bought
online shopping?
I bought a lot of baby stuff. I bought a ton of baby stuff actually.
Now, baby stuff is the kind of thing that doesn't matter. You're going to have the baby no matter what.
Yeah.
So they don't need to have a sale. For
But they
Black
do.
Friday.
They did have sales. So like we got the baby monitor, which is normally we got it for like $80 off on Amazon, I think. The Swing, which apparently is a really critical piece of baby technology. We got that for $20 or $30 off. I mean, all told, we probably saved $400 on a few grand worth of stuff, including like changing tables and all that kind of crap. So that was really good.
Gary, did you buy anything? I don't know if Gary can hear us.
Oh, did we lose Gary? Oh my God, not Gary! No.
Oh my God.
Oh
my God.
Well, okay, I'll go back over there. You could just hit redial.
I can't hit anything right now.
Just keep talking.
So Will bought baby stuff. I went to the Wirecutter, and they had a page that was refreshing throughout the weekend, updated throughout the weekend with the best deals. And I jumped in on some cheap power tools, and I think that was it.
What kind of power tools?
Cheap ones.
Like drill, saw?
Like a Dremel.
Got a Dremel.
And we're getting Gary back. Yeah, there was some decent deals, but like nothing I really needed to buy. I think there was a good like James Bond 50th anniversary 22 Blu-rays for $100. That seemed like a good deal.
I just missed that one.
Oh, really? Did you? It was on.
I didn't really want it anyway. I like Bond movies, but I don't need to own them all.
You don't need them. That's the thing. Yeah,
I got a couple of good deals. I got Louis season 2 on Blu-ray for $8, which is pretty cheap.
I think they had all 4 Die Hard movies. Well, you'd only keep like 2 of them. For $20.
And
I got
3 in 1.
3 in 1.
Okay.
And I got a pretty good deal on the first season of Homeland, which is a show I've been wanting to watch for a while, and finally got the Blu-ray for a very cheap price. It was like 80% off.
And that's
crazy.
That's a perfect buy because that's the kind of show that's not actually on Netflix. Or on
you can get it on iTunes.
iTunes, that's it. But you're paying.
Yeah, but you end up spending more money watching it that way than if you would just buy the Blu-ray.
Exactly.
I like the internet deals. I feel like you can feel just as satisfied because of the scarcity of them. You can feel just as satisfied about getting a good deal online than if you're actually kind of throwing elbows at your local Walmart or whatever, but without any,
Did you guys see
any real lack of dignity?
Any the craziness on?
I didn't watch it. I didn't see any of the. I saw at Walmart a crowd of people fighting over a $2 waffle iron. That was kind of cool.
Jesus.
And Leah, when she went downtown, she actually saw some fistfights break out over pants and things in Old Navy.
Over pants?
Yeah, it's amazing what happens.
Fistfights over pants.
Yeah, it's pathetic.
I did a bunch of car seat, like the infant carrier car seat research, and that exhausted me so much that I took one of the greatest naps of my life to date that afternoon. And I went and took a nap at like 2:00 on Friday and woke up at 6:45. So it may have transcended nap status at that point, but it was a pretty good afternoon.
I tell you, after Thanksgiving dinner on Thursday, I can't remember the last time I was so, like couch bound. Like I just didn't want to get up at all. I was absolutely exhausted.
We were sitting there, and there was like at some point, I think you said we should play Wii U, and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, okay, let's play Wii U." And then it was the least energetic.
Plan, even I, after dinner, was like, "Oh, really?"
Well, so then
had the plan been to play Dance Central or something, that would have been totally vetoed, I think.
Well, if we had played, Gene is not allowed to play Dance Central until we're much closer to due date,
right?
And B, Dance Central we would have had to get buckets, I think.
It wouldn't have been good.
Not good.
But, the minimal amount of motion involved in the Wii U games was I think that was about as much physical exertion as I could muster.
Slight waggle.
Yeah, a little bit of waggle.
So speaking of Wii U, Nintendo announced Wii U sales figures for, I guess, the first week. Is that what it was? Through Black Friday or through Saturday?
Well, I think they're saying so far since launch.
Okay. And this came out on Tuesday, I guess. So it's not, it's not a full 14 days or whatever from when we're actually live. But they sold 1.1 million consoles during that holiday week. Now that's tricky because it also includes the Wii and the 3DS. If you break down the Wii U sales, they sold 400,000 units.
Right, which is good but not brilliant.
Well, and it's difficult. It seems like Reggie said that they were he implied that they were constrained by supply, but he didn't actually say, "Hey, yeah, we sold as many as we had," because right now you can walk into a Target or a Walmart pretty much anywhere, or at least many places, and they have giant stacks of both SKUs.
And
one of the things I enjoy doing after a console launch or any kind of big product launch, and there's the inevitable press release that comes out, is passing the language that they use, because you can always, it's amazing that you can interpret a lot from the things that they don't say. Any milestone or any boast that they can even vaguely conceivably make, they will pounce on it. So if there's certain things that they don't say, like we sold out or we can't keep it in supply or whatever, if they're not saying that, then that's probably quite telling.
Plus, you can look at previous years and their previous announcements. Like if you look at the numbers they announce, not just numbers, but like the language they use for previous console sales, and especially for like Apple products. They'll really, what they don't say is, if they don't say it, they didn't meet that goal.
Right. Well, one of the great ones, I remember when Sony was still struggling with the PlayStation 3 in one of its first years, when they did a holiday sales press release that just bundled everything into the quote-unquote PlayStation family of products, so they could try and bury the underwhelming sales of PlayStation 3 in with PS2, which was actually still selling quite well. And it's weird, isn't it, what a long tail some of these consoles have. Like the original Wii, which is now, 6 years old?
7.
Only sold a few like 100,000 less than the new Wii U. I mean, that thing is still selling really well. It's mad.
Well, and I don't know what the price on the Wii is now, but it's got to be $150, right? It's low.
I think it's pretty low.
I think there's a much larger market than we really account for of people who don't buy consoles until they're $150 or $200. I mean,
Also,
the
then
Xbox
all the
360
games are out, and the games are cheap.
Yeah, I mean, I did this with the PS2. I didn't buy a PS2 until really late in the generation, and it was awesome because I was able to, like Norm said, go get 20 games for the price of a launch console and the 5 shitty games that are bundled.
Yeah.
So,
and just anecdotally, what I seem to be seeing from my own, poking around stores and talking to people online about their experiences is that it's not impossible to find a Wii U right now. As console launches go, when there tends to be a scarcity at least through the holiday period, it would not be. If I wanted to find one right now, I could probably come back with one this afternoon.
Nintendo fans will say that no matter what the sales were, if they sold out of Wii's, we would blame Nintendo for constraining supply.
Right.
If they didn't sell out of Wii's, then they didn't sell enough. Then
it's the next Dreamcast. Yeah.
So what is the right answer?
Yeah, and there seems to be a general attitude. I don't know where this came from, but I think it's after the Wii this started a general kind of attitude in the press among industry observers and people that spend their time talking about video games that they've become kind of schadenfreudy about Nintendo. Like they for some reason they almost want them to fail and they're looking to pounce on anything they can. I don't know why that is. I love Nintendo. I want to see them succeed. They're the only company doing anything radically different for the last 2 generations. I'd rather see that rewarded than punished.
And I'd rather there be product in store than it be sold out, even if that means they're not doing super well. It's easy to get product.
So I went into the Target in Colma this morning, and they had 16 black Wii U's because I need to get one for a coworker. So yeah, I mean they're relatively easy to come by. Although from responses on Twitter, it seems like depending on where you are in the country, you may or may not be having problems finding them. It seems like some of the middle of the country is not as stocked.
It's weird that it has become this situation now where if you can find a product on the shelves, that means it must be a failure.
Yeah.
Like how did that start?
Right. Well, I mean that blame Apple and the Wii. I mean, if you look back at the Wii, when I talked to the cashier at Target this morning, she was a veteran of the first go round with the Wii. When she said, "Yeah, we would come in on the mornings that we got shipments, and there would be 6 people in line every day to get the 5 that we had." And somebody went home disappointed every day, and it wasn't until next year that we actually had them reliably.
Remember, it wasn't until like March or April or something that they were readily available on shelves. That was hard to find for an astonishing amount of time.
It was one of those things that if you went into a Target or a Best Buy or something and saw a Wii there, you thought, I could probably turn this around on eBay or something for $100 more than I pay for it right now if I buy it.
The real story for me was not the Wii, although it's going to get headlines because it's the new console. But Microsoft, of course, came out and big upped Nintendo right away, with 750,000 Xbox 360s sold, which for a console which is 7 years old and nearing the end of its life is insane that it's still selling that much every month.
They're benefiting from the same effect that the PS2 had last generation, where it was the de facto. There's a lot of discs out there for it. A lot of people are using that console. So now that it's cheaper, and I think the average price on a 360 is like $178 now. It's really low.
And they've always done a very good job of coming up with some very compelling bundles. I mean, you can get now a fully loaded, and by that I mean like a 250 gigabyte hard drive Xbox 360 with some games bundled in for like $199.
And it's not like the launch window bundle fuck games where it's the 3 things you don't want to play on that console.
The Costco bundles.
Very smart with their bundles. They have. Not my cup of tea, but for kids, there's a Skylanders bundle which is probably flying off the shelves, I would imagine.
So while I was waiting for the Wii to come down from storage this morning, I played with the Skylanders a little bit because they had the whole kiosk set up right there.
Yeah,
it's really fun to put the little thing on the platform and watch your dude come in.
Target the other day, putting the little toys on the plinth and seeing them appear in the game.
Oh my goodness! So that's the way you unlock it. Is you put the toy.
The only way you can play that character is if you have the toy.
So manipulative.
I feel like the guy walked away and the plinth was there, and I could have easily went over and put a toy on it. But I kind of looked at it the same way as if the guy came up to me and said, "Hey, do you want to try meth?" I'm like, it's free and it's available to me right now, and I'd be interested to know what it's like. But
you know what you should do?
Like a bad idea to start to open that door.
Gary, you should get the most rare toy, like get it from Jeff or something. Go to Targets around the country, around the area, load up that rare toy and have the kids crowd, and they go, "Oh nope, taking it home now." Then take it off the platform, and then
just to make kids unhappy. You mean?
Monster.
Yeah.
What a Christmas treat that would be.
Yeah. Stay in school, kids.
Norman Chan, the Grinch.
Yeah.
But it is amazing, isn't it? The Xbox. I mean, it's because you always worry about saturations. Like, how many people are there left to still buy things?
I mean, people are buying their second Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, I bet I know personally people who are on their 5th, 6th, or 7th Xbox at this point. So, that's a surefire way to ensure that you can sell a lot of consoles every holiday season.
Because at some point, those consoles aren't just to play games. Your household may have an Xbox for living room, but then mom and dad might want one for the bedroom because they can also do Netflix and all the online stuff with it.
Yeah.
But also play Connect and whatever games they want.
Bedroom Connect.
We put one in the baby's room just as for when she wants it, just as like a streaming box for like Netflix Kids and stuff. This is what it's.
But that's a terrible streaming box because you have to pay for Xbox Live Gold along with it.
It's not a great streaming box, but again, you only need one Gold account, and you can cloud log into your gamer tag from anywhere.
Well, as long as you're not trying to play an Xbox game in the living room while she fires up to watch Dora.
That's true. In fact, I considered just getting like a Roku box or something for that because there obviously are other streaming options available. Since we're talking about consoles, did you want to talk about the Wii Mini at all?
Yeah, that's next on the list.
What you can't play Netflix on is the new Wii Mini.
Hey, Canada, guess what? You finally have something exclusive.
They have the best looking Wii out there.
Yeah, it's also the worst Wii.
But it is also the best looking. I don't think we should overlook that.
Easily the best looking.
It's very attractive.
I just want to say I love the kind of throwback retro look of that console. Like, it really does look like an old NES or something, and I love that.
Actually, if you think back to the late refresh designs of almost all of the Nintendo consoles, at least the ones that got them, so the NES and the SNES, and then now the Wii, I guess. The late refresh is gorgeous. Like, they did good on all of them. The NES one that didn't have the front loader,
except for the Game Boy Micro.
The Game Boy Micro was real late.
I didn't like the NES refresh.
Oh, I loved it without the loader that caused all the problems. You just slammed the cartridge right in the top.
The one that had like the top loader with the little cylindrical bar going through it. I didn't like that.
Oh, well, sorry, Gary.
I liked the original. I like the original classic. Hey, it's weird, isn't it? How is it that, like, in an age in which game consoles are trying to look slicker? I mean, even the Wii U now, it's this kind of piano black. It's trying to look sexy and cool and like high-end electronics. That the console we're actually now most aesthetically pleased by is the one that looks like the cheapest plasticky throwback thing.
Well, we're fools.
Is it just nostalgia?
That's the takeaway. We're idiots.
We want some diversity it's balanced. It's relative because if everything in the entertainment center in the living room is matte black or looks like a PS3 or shiny black, then whatever stands out is going to look great.
Honestly,
now, why do only Canadians get this thing?
I do not know.
Because it's red.
Free healthcare in the Wii Mini.
Yeah, the interesting thing, I mean, maybe they looked at broadband penetration in Canada, and they're looking at places like northern Alberta and Yukon Territory and stuff like that where there's no broadband, and thinking, hey, these people aren't using Netflix anyway, and also Canadian Netflix kind of sucks.
So internet connection.
Let's make it clear the difference.
To summarize for people who may not have heard of it, the Wii Mini is the Wii in a smaller
box. The old
box.
Wii, just to be clear.
Not
the old Wii in a smaller box, which is quite attractive.
Yeah.
But there's no internet connectivity and
not
also
even Wi-Fi.
No GameCube
no
compatibility.
Backwards compatibility.
So they've
no internet. Does it come with a waggle stick?
Yeah, it comes with a red Wiimote and a nunchuck, both red. That's almost worth $99 on its own. Red Wiimote,
I think
nunchuck.
You're going to see a lot of importing from US collectors and other people that are going to want this thing. A lot of Canadian Wii Minis are not going to stay in Canada. They're going to be exported out as a collector's item.
I'm really interested in the no internet choice. That's the most, like, if you look at dopey Nintendo decisions, which we talked about a lot last week when we talked about the Wii U and the way the launch stuff works, the internet works on the launch of the Wii U. It's really interesting that they think, oh yeah, okay, the thing we cannot put on here is internet. Whereas if Microsoft was releasing a low-cost Xbox, I think that they would probably just release a box with no disk drive.
No, they would do only internet.
Only internet and downloadable, yeah. I mean, it's very telling.
Well, little Susie doesn't need to play online games.
I mean,
when friends come over, they can play,
I struggled for a while when I first saw this thing to figure out who it was for, because it's not terribly more expensive than less expensive than a regular Wii, and it's missing a lot of what people like about the Wii, which is the Wii Shop and Virtual Console and stuff.
Really? Do you think people really like that about the Wii?
Oh, it's what I like about it.
But you're old.
It's the best standard def Netflix player.
I think this is for people whose parents are afraid of the internet.
I think that's exactly where I was going. I think it's a cheap video game box, an old-fashioned console that you can stick in your kid's bedroom for a cheap price. It looks very friendly. It's Nintendo branded, which you feel comfortable with that right away. And all these stories that you see on like Channel 11 News, like, is your Nintendo a gateway to porn or whatever for what's your child really doing in his bedroom? Yeah. The fact that this thing doesn't connect to the internet at all it's old-fashioned, but it's comforting in a way, I guess, for parents.
I wonder if they're going to release like virtual console titles on bundled compilation discs or something like that, so you can go and buy a disc with, Super Mario Brothers 1, 2, and 3 on it for $20 or $25 or something like that, and play those virtual console games on this as well. Because that seems like a big opportunity for a $99 Wii. I don't know. I think this is a really weird product. I'm flummoxed.
And it still doesn't play DVDs, right? It never has.
The Japanese ones did, but the US ones didn't. And apparently the GameCube back compat, there were a couple of releases of the actual Wii that didn't have GameCube back compat as well. But I don't know why you would even bother doing that, because it's essentially the same hardware. Like, that is a Switch.
I think there's a market for it. Again, I think for low-income households, or for people that want to have a game box for their kids. And obviously Nintendo is the Disney of video games. People feel comfortable with it. It's not expensive. It has the key franchises, Mario. You want to play Mario and Zelda, it's the only one place you can go. And again, the lack of internet is actually kind of
be
reassuring in a way, I think, for parents.
So you're saying this is if Stan, Kyle, and Cartman are playing PS3s and Xbox 360s, this is the console for Kenny.
Pretty much, I would think so. Although you remember how excited Cartman was about the Wii. He froze himself in
It's
ice.
true. He Buck Rogers.
If only he'd known. I would have frozen myself in ice.
Delicious clams.
I wouldn't have waited for the Wii to come out. I'd say, wake me when it's gone. Wait me when this generation is finished.
Oh, come on. Super Mario Galaxy, that's your favorite game of the generation. You've said it before.
Super Mario Galaxy is my favorite. Yeah. Actually, I might be tied now, but it is my favorite game of this generation.
Wait. Tied with?
Journey.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Thank goodness you weren't going to say COD Blops 2.
It's up. I mean, it's not. It's definitely going to be one of my top games of the year, but it's not. The whole generation. That's a different question.
COD Blops 2 is definitely my favorite COD Blops.
It's good. It's my favorite COD. Not just COD Blops, but all of COD.
All of COD.
All of COD.
It's the COD Supreme.
It has all of the Blops.
While we're talking about sales figures, let's talk about Kindle sales.
Amazon did
announce some of those.
Yeah, Amazon. Well, they did.
Kind of.
Always did, and Kindle is the number one selling product on Amazon.
And Amazon's the number one online retailer,
so it must be the number one selling product on the internet. The Kindle.
Wait, hold on. I don't think that logic.
No, it does not.
No, it doesn't work at all.
No. Of course it doesn't. Amazon announced that this year's Black Friday they sold twice as many Kindles as they did last Black Friday.
But that's how they say it, right? They never actually say numbers.
Always relative.
Never say numbers. They'll say it's the best-selling product on Amazon, number one, but they'll never say which SKU. And having sold twice as many this year, they have 7 different Kindles, and that's not accounting for the different capacities.
Oh, so you're saying just with the 3 Fires?
They have 3 Fires.
Or are you counting the LTE as a separate Fire?
LTEs, they consider a separate Fire.
Okay, so 4 Fires.
And then 3 full Kindles, a regular Kindle.
Well, hold on, what's the third? Are they still selling the keyboard?
They sell the keyboard.
They sell the $69 one. Mm-hmm. They sell the Paperwhite. Mm-hmm. And then they sell the 3G with the keyboard still? Yep. Wow, I didn't know that.
So, what's the business reason for leaving the numbers out? I mean, I imagine the numbers are pretty impressive. Why do they've made a choice to couch it in these terms? Why do they do that?
Because they don't have to. I mean, because then that gives everybody else a point of comparison. And right now, there's no one has any idea how many numbers. It's the same reason Steam doesn't release numbers.
Do they ever talk about what are comparatively the biggest selling SKUs?
No, I don't think so.
What would you guess? I would think it's got to be the Paperwhite, right?
Paperwhite.
I think
I love Paperwhite. I just took it on a trip with me, and I love it so much. It's so great.
I bet the $60 one outsells the Paperwhite.
I think the Paperwhite outsells it because at that under $100 at that point, if you're spending $10 to $20 a book, that under $100 with the Paperwhite, okay, you get
I'll buy that. Last year, I think the $79 one
is the sweet spot between being like the best Kindle you can get for the most bang for your buck.
Yeah.
And also $100. I mean, last year it was the difference between under $100 and over $100. Both being under $100 makes it easy.
And neither had a light. I think the addition of the light on the Paperwhite is a huge deal for normal people.
Yeah.
I actually, even with the 7-inch tablets, I still read books on the Paperwhite more often.
But the fact that they sold twice as many, they couldn't have sold. I mean, even though the Paperwhite, I know a lot of people with the keyboard probably updated to the Paperwhite because it was worth skipping the touch But with the light,
the light is a game changer.
It's about time worth the upgrade. A lot of people don't need to. The old first-gen Kindles work just fine. Even with people updating to the Paperwhite, the fact they sold twice as many total Kindles as a whole means they must have sold a bunch of Fire HDs.
You think?
I think they sold a bunch. I think if you took out all, if they did not sell that many Fire HDs, they couldn't have gotten twice as many sales as last Black Friday.
Because they sold a lot of Fire HDs last year too, I guess, or just Fires.
They sold a lot of Fires. So I think a lot of people who got burned by Fires.
It seems like Amazon have had a very, very good year with the Kindle, and will continue to through the holidays. I think it took them one generation to get the Fire right.
Mm-hmm.
The first generation was kind of crappy, but it seems like the new Fires are pretty good. I don't really feel like I could recommend that 8.9 HD one to anyone. I would say if you just want that size, just get an iPad. I know the Fire's a little bit cheaper, but I like the 7-inch one, not so much the 9-inch one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we ended. I mean, after using it for 2 weeks, that's where I ended up. I think the 8.9 has a really gorgeous screen. If you just want something to watch a bunch of video on and you don't want to get a portable DVD or Blu-ray player, go for it. Right?
It does have a great screen.
That's the like if you want something to hang off the back of the headrest in the minivan, so the kids can watch some glorious high definition video while you're driving to grandma's, that's perfect. But it is crazy expensive for that. And it's not as good as the other 10-inch tablets for doing things that aren't watching video. It's not even particularly good for reading.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I think Amazon. I'm sure Amazon will have a very good year with these products.
I mean,
quite the range now.
It's good that I'm glad that they've kind of recovered from the misstep that was the original Kindle Fire, and I know a lot of people really love it. And I don't think you're dumb or wrong or whatever, but if you didn't have the experience with the other products, it's really difficult to say why that fell short.
How is the Nook doing these days? It seems like if you're not Amazon, it seems like being in the e-reader, ebook market is it's got to be tough. Don't you think? I mean, it sounds like Nook are actually they're still kind of hanging on.
They are the Black Knight of this whole thing. They're
the evil knight.
I don't think they're evil knight, but
that's what the Black Knight implies.
But that's kind of racist.
No, it's Arthurian.
I think Nook's doing well. If they still have stores around, they're still selling books. They have a really interesting business model in that they still sell traditional books, and they have managed to adjust their business to add its new business, which Microsoft has invested in.
Yeah.
To sell an ebook, like a tablet that people actually buy and use. And if you go in any Barnes & Noble's bookstore, which people love hanging out in still because there are no more borders, Nook is everywhere.
I don't think there are Barnes & Nobles anymore.
There are Barnes & Nobles.
The one in Colma has closed or relocated.
They are still there.
When you search for them,
bookshops are starting to feel a bit like travel agents. It's like when you see one, you're like, oh, I guess, yeah, that's something that people still do.
Yeah, the thing for me is when I see a bookstore, I assume if it's not some chain, I assume it's it's got to be an awesome bookstore if it's survived, right? So then it's worth good. It's like Powell's in Portland or City Lights or one of the awesome bookshops.
Yeah, in a way, it's kind of weird. You think that you might actually imagine that the big chain, big box bookstores like Borders, which is obviously already gone, and Barnes & Noble, who deal in volume and just deal in the popular titles, the kind of things that probably do sell very well online as well, are actually the ones that are going to get hurt the most. And it's ironically the little mom and pop, like the used bookstores and things like that will survive.
Yeah, well, and the like the science fiction, the genre bookstores and stuff like that, the guys who've gone deep in a genre.
Plus newsstands.
Yeah. What do you mean newsstands?
If you go to a bookstore, so you can get like book magazines and periodicals from around the world.
That seems like a airport kind of gig for the most part.
If you go to like in Barnes & Noble, like the one in Tanfran, there's a huge wall just for periodicals, and that's stuff that you can't you can find this.
So they're like books. Websites on paper.
Sure, they're like websites on paper. But the secret awesome thing, you don't need to buy Entertainment Weekly or get a subscription on that if you really want that digest. But go to a newsstand and buy international magazines. Those are the best.
For example,
like if you get Wired UK. If you get like Japanese model magazines.
How much overlap is there between Wired UK and Wired US?
Very little.
Really?
Yeah.
Completely different stories.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Sounds good. Norm's Pro Magazine. Do we want to talk about Kindle anymore? Or we feel like moving on. Feels like a good
Kindle
time to move
sold
on.
a lot. What is there to say? Well done, Amazon. Great. They've made a great product. Great combination of a product and ecosystem.
If you're giving one as a gift, I would give the Paperwhite if people want something to read on. No question.
No question. I mean, I don't think there's any reputable tech site or outlet out there that would recommend anything other than the Paperwhite as like the premium dedicated e-reader, is there? I mean, they all pretty much said it.
The Nook Simple Touch, the one with the light, is equivalent. I still feel like the Nook e-reader hardware is kind of chunky.
The Paperwhite Lite is far superior.
Well, okay, yeah. So smoothness of the light aside, like the Nook seems fine. It's not. I don't think it's as nice a piece of hardware. It's not as constructed as well, and it feels kind of almost like a play school thing.
We obviously can't not talk about the Apple sales, and which they have not announced. But Apple did have a Black Friday sale.
No iPad Mini listed.
iPad Mini was not listed. They gave like $100 off on various products, MacBooks and stuff.
If you wanted a MacBook Air, you could get a pretty good deal.
I think so, yeah. And iPad Mini, do you know if it's difficult to buy one in stores now?
Just anecdotally, I was in a couple of Targets over the holiday weekend, and they were all cleared out at stores.
God, it's $330 for that. For $300, you can get the 8.9 Kindle.
Yeah, but I mean,
I think what do you think people would be more happy to receive?
The Mini,
if they are platform agnostic.
I think the Mini.
I would rather have the Mini or a Nexus than the Kindle Fire. Yeah. I mean, it's a situation like your initial inclination is to think, oh,
wow,
bigger is better. Yeah. Get the bigger screen.
Oh my God, the movies look so great.
And if you're going to leave it sitting on the couch, we talked about this in the quick look, which hasn't gone up yet, obviously. If you're going to leave it sitting on the couch, it's great to get the big one, right? If it's something you're going to carry with you and use as kind of a portable internet tablet, then get the smaller one because you're not going to lose anything. The only thing you lose is the high resolution screen.
I think the people who want the portable internet tablet are the people who want that as their second tablet. And I think a lot of people who don't have tablets yet still want the big tablet.
Store.apple.com is saying 2 weeks to ship on pretty much every iPad Mini. So they may still be supply constrained. They did have some good deals on like a lot of MP3 player deals, is kind of always the case, Nanos and stuff like that. And the iPod Touch, they dropped the price so that it actually, if you bought on Black Friday, that does kind of make it a compelling argument to buy that instead of the iPad Mini for another $40. Let's talk about iOS Maps, because guess what? Eddie Q has cut a path through the Maps department and sacked the guy who was in charge of Apple Maps.
Does anyone know his name?
Thought when Scott Forstall went that was what that was about, but I guess that was a bigger problem, and now they're actually cleaning out the actual map people.
Yeah, I always feel too well. First off, they did it in a particularly gruesome way and fired him the day before Thanksgiving, which is unkind. I'm sure he got a severance package that made him not too upset, but I feel like in these kinds when you see these kinds of cuts made because of a bad product or whatever, typically one person isn't responsible for the product being bad. Because I mean, we've talked about this before, but nobody sets out to make something that's shit.
Someone takes responsibility.
Well, I think
someone hires people and someone manages them.
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, at some point you have to have somebody saying, yeah, this isn't good enough, go back and do it again. And their mistake was that because they were bailing out of the deal with Google, they had to have it done in time for the iOS 6 launch.
I think if you're working on that high of a level for the biggest company in the world, you gotta be smarter than that. Maybe
you gotta be smarter than what?
Gotta be smarter than wait till I didn't realize we were on a short deadline.
Absolutely.
And, yeah. So Maps.
There's very little tolerance for failure at Apple, I'm sure.
Maps
even
not good.
in the post-Jobs age.
Yeah, and zero tolerance is a good policy.
It was interesting though, because you didn't used to hear about the firings happening in the Jobs age.
Well, I mean, that's because people were less interested in the politicking.
I guess that's true.
In the crazy rumor mongering.
I mean, firing people doesn't make Maps better, but the rumor is that Google Maps is in final polish stages.
So the question though is was the firing warranted because Maps is actually incredibly bad? Because the way Maps is perceived, I don't think Maps has worked for me. Navigation has worked fine for me in some cases. But
it's one of those things. It's not like Siri, where if it fails 3 times, you're like, oh yeah, it's something dumb. If Maps fails you once or twice, Maps is shit. I mean, that's the problem.
Is it failed because you're looking for it to fail, or is it
penalty for failure is much higher for something as crucial as Maps?
and I'm not defending like Maps as being perfect, but a lot of the reports, if you listen to the radio, read the papers, and they're reporting, oh, Apple fired a manager because Maps was super buggy or very buggy, and they just label it as that, or it wasn't buggy in the sense that it didn't, you couldn't load it and it was.
Well, it is
glitched.
though, because sometimes it would put stuff in the wrong place, and whether that's a data problem or software bug, we don't know. We probably don't have a way of knowing.
I wouldn't call a data problem a bug.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is, to the end user and a person using Maps and Maps failing, data problems and software bugs are indistinguishable. It's the app failing. So if they were tasked with making an app that is comparable to Google Maps, to replace it, then they failed. Whether it's whether they got bad data because they made those arrangements, or whether there's software problems that cause stuff to show up in the wrong place. And also, it hasn't delivered a lot of the features that they demoed during the WWDC keynote. I mean, do you remember on stage when Tim Cook was like, "Hey, Siri will route you when you're hitting a horrible traffic jam. Siri will say, "Hey, there's a horrible traffic jam ahead. Why don't you go this way instead? It'll be a lot faster."
So
that's never happened to me.
While it didn't give me it didn't pop up a notification. I needed directions to go somewhere, and it did give me a route that I would not have normally taken, but it was a faster route.
Oh, okay. I mean, but that's what navigation programs do.
Yeah, pick the fastest one.
Yeah,
based on traffic. And then go. I think navigation. If the data set was better, and if it was better at predicting what I was trying to search, as opposed to throwing up errors because I typed a word wrong. Then I think the structure is right. The searching and the data is not good.
I honestly think a lot of this became an issue for Apple because the stuff that Google's doing is so good right now. I mean, if you look at the Google Voice Search and Google Now, those two things both they're both infinitely more useful than Siri.
And who's in charge of Siri? Because whoever's in charge of Siri should be set.
Well, that was Forstall too.
Well,
remember, they acquired that company to do Siri.
Whoever was running that company also, I think, is just as much fault as...
Probably has already parachuted out.
Probably. Because Siri is, in comparison to Google Search, is a joke.
Yeah. The Google Voice... that Google Voice Search app, or the Google app, has become a homepage icon for me now and is the first place I go when I want to find something. I do that instead of going to the computer now because you just hold up the phone and say, I want to find out about this. And then it gets it right. Even if it's something hard that's not a real word or some nonsense from a video game. It's really good. In fact, actually, I don't understand why Chrome on iOS the voice search button on that doesn't use the same voice search as the Google app. I'm sure that's coming.
Well, the Chrome is built in. I think they want you to use Google.
The one that's built in is the old school kind of the thing with the buttons moving, the wavy lines. It doesn't work. At least on the iPad mini. It may work on the iPhone. And speaking of Google, Nexus 4. Gary, did you try to get a Nexus 4 the other day? They went on sale yesterday, or Tuesday rather.
No, I already have a phone.
Okay, so went on sale. If you weren't able to order a phone 3 weeks ago when they went on sale initially, they said, okay, we're gonna at noon we're gonna open the floodgates again, and then their site was broken for basically 6 hours, as near as I could tell. So a lot of people tried to order phones. It seems like they have them in stock and just can't get the e-commerce part of it to work right. So if you want a Nexus 4, go to the Play Store and go hit devices and mash proceed about 1 million times, and you may or may not be able to order a phone. I gave up after 4 hours of wrestling with it yesterday. So
LG, who makes Nexus 4, also came out and explained why some people in Canada were able to actually activate limited LTE on Nexus 4, even though Nexus 4 does not, and one of the big complaints in the reviews is that it does not have LTE. It turns out that in that Qualcomm chip that's built in, the LTE chip is there no matter what. What is not built into Nexus 4 is because they couldn't get the in the US, they couldn't come to terms with the carriers, is the right antenna and the power.
So it's the 1700 megahertz frequency or something? Is that the problem?
Not exactly. No, it's not just a frequency problem, but the chip the radio is there, but there's not the extra stuff that you would need to actually transmit and receive.
Oh, and it probably doesn't have the right frequency antenna either.
Not for the US.
Yeah. But I know Braga was saying that he had Nexus 4 LTE because Rogers, I think, has the right spectrum and the right frequency and all that stuff.
It's very limited. He has kind of LTE. He can tap into the network, but you couldn't walk around and also get those speeds.
So he can pair his kind of LTE with his kind of Wii.
Yeah, there he goes.
There we go.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk? Let's talk about autonomous cars. I saw another Google car driving around, one of the self-driving cars, and there was a good piece in New Yorker this week that discussed the kind of it was almost like the Asimov style moral questions surrounding
Who else has seen a
self-driving cars?
Google self-driving car driving around? Have you seen one, Gary?
I haven't seen one in the flesh, and if I did, I probably would try to get out of its way. I wouldn't feel totally comfortable around one of those things just yet.
Do you know what they look like though, right? They're Priuses, and they have it almost looks like an old bubble, like a gumdrop cop siren on the top, but it's a lot bigger than that, and then it's got a spinning mirror. That is the way you identify them.
It's
basically.
as if the MCP grabbed the Prius.
Kind of, yeah.
So these are actually driving around on the road right now?
Fairly regularly.
Who's
they
driving
just started because California just passed in the past couple months. It
was a proposition, wasn't it? No, it wasn't a proposition. It was the lame duck legislature.
Passed the law allowing Google to test these cars based on the, I think, Nevada
and Florida
and laws. Yeah, I think
so. That means 3 states. Just to be clear, there's 3 states in the United States that now it's legal to drive self-driving cars.
And by drive means you have to actually sit, and there needs to be a real person behind the steering wheel.
Right, and that person has to be sober and of sound mind and body, I assume.
Yes. So it's not like a Jetsons party where you're having a cocktail party in the back of the car.
God, that would be awesome.
While the robot drives you home. But we're eventually gonna get them. I mean, it is no longer is it science fiction. It is in 5 years, maybe 10 years, I think. We will have electric cars. Many electric cars on the road. We'll have many more hybrid cars on the road. Very few, I think, pure gasoline cars. Those are the old relics and too expensive to actually maintain. And we'll have some self-driving cars.
My uncle or my cousin rather has a Tesla, the Model S, not the
Roadster.
I'm sorry, the Roadster, not the coupe. Sedan. And he says it cost him about $2 a day to drive to work.
No, $2 a day is okay. The Roadster was
45 miles each way.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
$2 for 45 miles for 90 miles, 100 miles basically is extremely cheap. And it makes sense why autonomous cars would be paired with the all-electric cars, not even the hybrids, because those electric cars have no, they're all...
Hold on, the Google ones they're not gas Priuses?
They are gas Priuses.
Okay.
I'm saying in the future they would be paired with... The rise of electric cars and the rise of self-driving cars will go hand in hand, because it is easy for a self-driving car to drive an electric car.
Because it's already drive-by-wire.
It's all drive-by-wire.
Yeah. I'm really interested in this. The New Yorker piece got into like the safety and the morality, and we've talked about that. I think we talked about it on a podcast with Adam once. The one fail destroys the entire industry effect of self-driving cars, because people are naturally skeptical of this. When the initial reports came out, people thought it was another Google April Fool's prank, and like if the first time a self-driving car kills someone, which is going to happen at some point, I mean, it's probably inevitable, whether in a normal traffic accident or whatever, it's going to be incredibly scrutinized. And if the machine is at any way in fault, then it's going to set the whole thing back another 20 or 30 years.
Well, the whole point of the story was that the machine needs to take responsibility, and the manufacturer needs to take responsibility in that in a future where we will have self-driving cars, we will absolutely need to program decisions, tough decisions, such as, for example, Gary, if you were in a self-driving car, if you eventually it came to trust one, and the car was driving you down a street, and you're driving down a freeway, and suddenly a bus full of children swerved in front of you, would it make more sense for the self-driving car to swerve away, potentially killing you, or swerve and let the bus kill the 40 children on the bus?
So it's the iRobot situation.
Like,
Will Smith is in the sinking car, and there's a child.
Save the girl or save me.
The girl.
Higher
save
probability.
the girl.
Yep. Yeah. What's the right decision there?
I don't know, but I do know that this is. I think the earlier point you made is right, that this is a tremendously high liability business to be in, making robot cars. And the New Yorker piece, which seemed a bit paranoid in that it was going all the way down to the kind of the Skynet type inevitabilities of this. But it's worth thinking about. The more control we hand over to machines, the scarier it potentially is.
And like Wes's space story the other day, if you know, it's not like you have to weaponize these cars for them to be dangerous if the robots take over, right? The fact that it's a 2-ton or 1-ton car that is self-propelled and can go 100 miles an hour makes it enough of a weapon on its own. And if all of them are robot controlled, then I mean it's worth being paranoid now so that we don't end up, John Connoring later.
And it extends to beyond a self-driving car. You have autonomous drones in the military already being tested and flying, and they will also have to make decisions. Of whether to fire.
Which
on
patch
enemies.
of civilians should we kill?
There was that that talk we went to that we heard. This pilot, I guess he wrote a book about testing the Predator drones, and he talked about his experience going through that simulator, the drone simulator. Right. And we've seen the stories about how pilots are. Traditional aircraft pilots, Navy pilots or Air Force pilots, are taken out of flying planes and then use their experience to fly basically video game-like drones with a half-second latency between the drone halfway across the world and where they are, with multiple chat windows popping up around them from military advisors and their commanders, basically backseat driving.
It's basically like having a team of 10 people help you play chess against somebody on the internet. I mean, it's the same kind of...
And you're trying to fly a plane at the same time with a half-second lag.
Yeah. So it turns out all that Quake playing on a modem really would have trained me to be a great drone pilot.
But there's a lot of human plus automated AI-provided intelligence to guide decisions. So it's almost like the CAPTCHA thing. Like...
You mean, so when you say the capture thing, you mean that Google uses human power to verify scanned book results?
So the last decision is given to humans, but all the boring stuff is all processed automatically.
Well, I mean, let's just say that in 15 years, when you play Call of Duty and you operate the drone mission, that isn't actually wired into a real drone that's taking care of military missions.
That's stupid.
You say that now, but give it time.
That's stupid.
Give it time. Let's talk about WinPhone 7.8. It's not out yet. No. So it's yet again, the early adopters in Windows Phone are getting screwed. Even as it seems like Windows Phone is having kind of a moment. They're saying they're seeing double sales of this time last year. I think.
Yeah, but come on, what does that mean? Double a very small amount is still not very much.
Well, let's see. The 800. I guess the 800 wasn't out yet, was it? It was still like the Samsung and the HTC this time last year. I don't know. I mean, I think doubling sales at any point is not a bad thing. Clearly, their doubling is less than Amazon's doubling. But still, I don't think that that's anything to shake a stick at. But the Windows Phone 7 people seem to be getting completely screwed again, because the update that gives them parity with Windows 8.
Not real parity.
Well,
fake parity.
More parity with Windows Phone 8 is nowhere to be found.
I almost would hope that Microsoft would just bail on this Windows 7.8 idea and just give everyone who bought a 7 and 8. Yeah. I think making them wait this long and then giving them an update, which I think they said would be rolling out in the next couple of weeks based on something that was leaked in China.
That's the right thing to do. If they had said, "Hey, here's $100 off. This will buy you out of your contract, and you can use this to get a new phone on contract," perfect. Everybody's happy.
Or let them get the Windows 8 phone, because they're already going real cheap. $100, $50 to $100. Let them get a cheap Windows 8
on
phone
contract,
and only have to extend their contract.
Right, free. Right. That's what I just said.
No, not let them not have them pay at all.
Well,
give them a phone. Let them trade in their phone for a new phone, and the most you have to do is extend your contract again.
Right. Elon Musk is pitching a Mars colony. I didn't see this story. What's the deal here?
Wired's Chris Anderson, which I guess is no longer Wired's Chris Anderson.
General Robotics is Chris Anderson.
He wrote their, I guess it was, I don't know if it was a cover story, but this big interview with Elon Musk, which is really interesting because it explained Elon Musk, who founded PayPal, had made $1 billion from his previous internet ventures before doing SpaceX and before doing Tesla. He had he's not a rocket scientist. So as much as Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark is modeled after Elon Musk, it's really only in the entrepreneurial sense. It's not in the Elon Musk doesn't like roll up his sleeves and then build rockets himself.
He doesn't have Jarvis or Gwyneth Paltrow.
No, but what he does have is a strong business sense and a mind to think out of the box. And what he did was realize there were a lot of cost inefficiencies in the way rockets are traditionally funded and constructed by contractors. And that's why SpaceX works. I think he said his first flight, the first flight they did was like $7 million, and it would have it's orders of magnitude cheaper than if the government did it, because they're not working with.
That's the promise of privatized space.
Yes. But his goal, and he's not announcing anything, is to eventually get their Dragon capsule to Mars and to start an 80,000 person colony there.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
It's a lot of trips.
Or a lot of babies.
Well, I mean, okay. So, if it's a lot of babies, it's 3 generations of, how do you get to 80,000 people when you start with 4? It's 3 or 4 generations, right? I mean, in fairness, it would take a long time to build out that much Mars base. So, did he give a timeline for this? No announcement?
No announcement.
Is this in his life? I assume he wants to see this happen in his lifetime, though.
I don't think he's going to be able to get to Mars. It's a 2-year trip, no matter what. He's 41 years old. If it happens, if SpaceX, in its current growth and current success and current contracts with the government, everything works out perfectly for them. Costs don't ridiculously go up. 15 years, he'll be like 55. He'll get there when he's 60. It's almost like he is less like Tony Stark at that point. He is more like Wayland in Prometheus.
Yeah, then you got to start worrying about the rigors of space travel on your body at that age and stuff.
Yeah, but lower gravity on Mars, it's there's trade-offs.
Or maybe
he's still fertile.
He's like John Hurt in Contact then at that point.
Okay, maybe. I don't know. It's an interesting idea. I think probably at this point, given the length of time it's going to take us to get to Mars, it's much more likely that private enterprise will do it than
if someone gave up, and he says, the other thing is his idea of space tourism and privatized space flight to Mars. He thinks it'll cost you maybe like $500,000 in it. When things go,
so that includes that. I mean, I don't know. That seems crazy because given the cost of getting mass per, like the cost per kilogram of mass into space, much less leaving orbit, seems like it's going to be prohibitive unless there's some sort of new engine technology.
It turns out fuel is the least expensive part of it. It's the actual engines because we cannot reuse them.
One-off engines, huh?
Yeah,
interesting.
If someone went up to you and you were like, let's say,
I would sell my house
20 years later. And said, for $500,000, you go to Mars and you can, a spot on the list.
Yeah,
you still have to pay.
Fuck yeah,
would you go?
Absolutely.
You probably have to spend the rest of your life there.
I'm cool with that. I mean, I guess I have kids now.
You probably want to think that through a little bit more.
Yeah. I see. You think that, but Mars? No, I'd go to Mars. Everybody would go to Mars. That's the thing.
But after it would be amazing for the first week, but then you're just in the middle of a fucking desert and there's nothing to do.
It's like the worst prison in the
building
world.
the future on Mars.
You could see Earth and just go, "Wow, I'll never go back there." And there are literally a million places on Earth that you have not been that you would enjoy and be just as exotic and be as self-fulfilling. But you're stuck, a million miles away.
Can you check out like the Mars Jeep and go check out the Mount Erebus? Or are you stuck in the cave all day?
You'd probably be working all day.
Fine. You're working toward the future. At least I'm doing something constructive. So I'm building an outpost in space for humanity.
You'd sacrifice your entire life, the rest of your entire life.
Well, 20 years from now, I don't have that much life yet.
Sure.
What would there be for entertainment? Would you be able to get the internet up there?
Yes, you would.
Is Martian Netflix better than Canadian Netflix?
What if you could go to Mars and live there for the rest of your life, but you only have the equivalent of dial-up internet?
Well, at that point, that's probably the best you would get because Curiosity has basically dial-up internet.
Yeah, but if there's 80,000 people there, they'll improve the infrastructure.
Of course.
No, but I'm saying Comcast this is what you would have to do. That's the trade-off. You can forget about streaming video or downloading anything. Yeah. It's like you're back in GeoCities internet age.
Right. You are recording video messages, low compression, or audio messages, and then sending them back. And then the rest of your time there, you're busy, like Will said, building the future. So you sacrifice your entire life so you have your name engraved on a plate. To say,
I don't give a shit.
Totally behind everything. Like you just would have completed downloading like Gangnam Style now. Like, you just finally be getting that.
I'm comfortable making that sacrifice.
But Gary, at that point, if you're the first one on Mars to get it, then within the 80,000 people, you're still cool.
Yeah. And once you get it down there, then you can spread it around like wildfire, because local networks are fast.
So there'd be like guys on like the Martian street corners with like, I've got the latest viral videos here.
That's it.
I've sacrificed my daily correspondence with loved ones to download the latest YouTube.
No, it's not even downloads. It's that people come, because at that point the sneaker net is faster. So when people come on the 6-month trip or a 9-month trip, then they just come with discs full of the latest internet juice. Yeah, you just jack straight into that stuff.
Terabytes of it's like Wayback Machine.
That would be even slower. Physically taking the stuff out there would take even longer.
No. What Will's saying is, at that point, if you're carrying terabytes,
the most valuable thing you can bring is cat videos
of internet of data.
I mean, I guess as long as it's a regular supply of it, you just have to reset to understand that you're basically 2 years behind everyone else.
I'm comfortable with being 2 years behind everyone else on dumb internet shit.
Like Inception would be like the hot movie of this summer.
Fantastic.
you just be getting it now.
I think
that's okay. You just have to recalibrate.
Here's the thing: what you guys are talking about is a decision that millions and millions of, well, maybe thousands and thousands of people have made at different points in time over history. I mean, if you look at the people who came to the New World first, they made the same choice. I'm going to give up the family and all the shit that I have back here in Europe, where we have Black Death and plague and all sorts of horrible things.
Because where they were leaving was terrible.
Well, what are you feeling optimistic about Earth?
I'm pretty happy about.
Why don't you get your floaty boat and get ready for the rising waters in New York, and it'll all be good. Get your water wings on, Chan.
I mean, right now Earth's got a lot of problems, but it's still preferable to a fucking planet-sized desert with dial-up internet.
You guys are not explorers. I think I would go to Mars in a heartbeat and see your family.
Leave your family behind.
It'll work itself out. They can come if they want.
No, they can't.
Why not?
It would be cool.
You already sold your house.
Well, what if I have a better house?
You did have very strictly rationed data, and so when you get your turn at the terminal, and you've got 1 megabyte, and you've got to make a choice between like downloading the latest video message from your wife or like cat videos. That's a choice you got to make every day.
So you said
the cat videos will be its currency. No one wants to watch your wife videos. But the cat videos,
viral videos become like the new economic black market currency.
So what do you do? Send the equivalent of an SMS to your wife and say, "Sorry, honey, internet ration killed. Talk tomorrow," and then download the cat videos with the other 998 kilobytes.
I mean, I guess you could do that every now and again. You couldn't do that
Twitter
all the time.
means so much more now.
Sooner or later, they would figure out what's going on.
Yeah, Twitter's the ultimate interstellar social network.
Twitter is great because it's such low data that you're not using. I mean, how much data is a tweet? It's a tiny amount.
Yeah, but you can't click any links.
No links.
None whatsoever.
Oh, these are the problems we all face in the future. Google's working on search stuff. Speaking of problems we face in the future, and they are looking for ways to find the ungoogleable. So right now, I'm not quite, but almost ungoogleable. If you search for Will Smith, I'm on page like 365.
Not that kind of ungoogleable.
Oh, different kind of ungoogleable?
Different kind of ungoogleable.
Explain.
For example, how long the line is at the supermarket.
Oh, so they're looking for local data.
No, just things that you would not normally think to search. But things that you have questions about.
I would like more examples.
Like, for example, so the extrapolation of what traffic is like on the freeway goes to what the line is like at the supermarket. So stock on Amazon would go to local things. Yeah.
Is this like I'm at the grocery store and I can't find wild rice, so I search Google for where is wild rice in my Safeway, and they say it's on aisle 7 on the left, halfway down?
At that point, you wouldn't even need to search it. They know that you've bought wild rice once every month. You walk into the store and you'll pull up your Android phone and go to aisle 4. Get your pickup.
That's the first mistake.
Don't forget to pick up your wild rice this time.
Huh. This is the sort of thing that Google now is supposed to be doing, right?
Exactly.
Like location, context aware.
Yes. The perfect Google, the way Google measures the success of its search engine.
Ultimate Goog.
The ultimate endpoint of Google is to answer questions for you before you ask them a question. But right as you're about to.
So they look into your brain and they say, you're about to ask if I can get another Red Bull from the fridge.
They don't have to look into your brain. They use data.
Well, data, looking at your brain, same thing. I mean, this is a philosophical question, right?
No.
If knowing what you're going to do the same as looking into your brain?
No, it's not. Looking into your brain would mean reading what you're thinking right now. Using data is using past data to extrapolate to predict what you're about.
But is the effect different?
Sometimes it could be. Yeah.
Well, extrapolating the trade-off that we make today, like, for example, Norm, would you be willing to have a service today that is that good, that anticipates
Absolutely.
your questions?
Yep.
But there is always a cost. The cost is, just like today, there are privacy issues that you would have. The Google would have to have complete access to your brain in order to anticipate your queries.
And
all the privacy issues that might maintain.
How is that?
You might be getting ads saying, "Oh, we noticed you had a slightly perverted dream the other day. Perhaps you'd be interested in this product that you dreamed about."
Totally okay. That's Futurama.
You're okay with that. So you're okay with like Orwellian surveillance of your mind, just so that you can get Google queries.
So you can find rice in the supermarket faster.
It makes my life easier.
What if the way they measure it is with an anal probe?
What it does tell you is that Norm feels completely okay about the contents of his mind.
Yeah. Totally.
Whereas other people might be very worried about what
terrified about the contents of
could be excavated in there.
It's just like those guys who have to watch all the YouTube videos and mark them for violations of terms of service.
Right.
People are going to have to go scrub through the different mind readings and then go, "Uh-oh, that's a bad dream. That's a bad thought."
Yeah.
There was a great list, and I wish I could remember where it was, but somebody got the people that they pay in, where is it, Morocco or something, where the people that Facebook pays to be the moderators. So when you flag something as inappropriate on Facebook, if enough people do it, it goes into this queue, and that queue is looked at by human beings. The human beings have, whereas Facebook's list of, hey, here's what, don't do these things, they're inappropriate. It's really vague and kind of broad. The list was incredibly specific that the people have that are the moderators. And it was down to, it's okay to jokingly have hate speech, but it's not okay to show semen or feces on Facebook. Like it's incredibly granular and like 17 pages of really specific horrible stuff that is not allowed.
Real job, or is that also like a CAPTCHA thing where
no, it's a real job.
The CAPTCHA is
those people are probably paid like $1 a day.
Describe the scene.
Nope, they're paid.
Describe the scene. That's the CAPTCHA.
Those are the people that hate us more than any other people in the world.
If you were the moderator boss, Will, and you were forced to narrow that down, which one would you let skate? If they said, well, we feel like we have to laxen this a little bit. Like banning semen and feces is a bit much. Let's let at least one through. And you had to make that decision.
Absolutely feces.
You prefer feces to semen?
No, I'm just saying if I was the content guy and I know that it's in America and I don't want what's the Parents Television Council people after me? If all of a sudden...
Is it because that one is sexual in nature and the other one isn't?
Exactly. Well, the religious people are going to be totally pro-feces.
Point of view.
Well, I guess that's true. I mean, I guess I would probably allow pictures of dog poop, but not poop smeared in a sexual manner on someone. Intent. Yeah.
What about if it was dog poop smeared in a sexual manner?
I'd probably call the police for that one. It seems a little. Once you get into the nitty gritty of this stuff, you're forced to ask questions about why things are offensive to people, and there's often no good answer. That's why this was fascinating to me. Is I had never really thought about the implications of having to delineate why one racially sensitive joke is funny and the other is wildly inappropriate.
Poop shouldn't be taboo at all. It is quite literally the most natural thing in the world. Why is it bad?
You're closer to poop than the rest of us right now.
Why is it funny to people?
Why
is it offensive to people?
That's a funny word. Even
smells because our biology.
Because it smells.
Because our biology is has made us naturally averse to it.
No, it's because it's something that happens in private. It's a shame thing.
It's privacy. But that wasn't always the way. We used to poop, in the open in front of everyone in caveman times. What changed?
So this is the perfect segue, Gary. There was a great Reddit post about this the other day, and the theory that the theory that was presented on Reddit by some dude who was a Reddit user and claimed to have expertise is that the working theory is that the invention of the chimney opened all of the body shame up. Because up until that point, when you lived in a house, it was basically a hut. There was a fire in the middle, and it was one big room. Everybody lived in the same room. And if you wanted to make out, if you wanted to take a dump, if you wanted to eat, if you wanted to wash yourself, it all happened in the one big room. So there was no shame. Nobody, bodies are bodies. We're all just human beings. when they developed the chimney, that allowed the creation of multi-room housing, and then everybody got their own room. So mom and dad would go off and make more kids in the other room while the kids are bathing in a quiet room by themselves. And so thank the chimney.
I don't buy the chimney theory at all.
Yeah, I don't buy it at all. I think there was shame. Shame existed much before the chimney.
The chimney is not what made.
Well, the chimney was invented in the 1600s, so
shame was invented 5,000 years ago when Adam and Eve left the Garden of Eden.
Wow. So you're saying it's a Judeo-Christian thing?
I don't know I'm not sure exactly when shame was invented.
Okay.
I think it's another one of those fire things. When we get cooked food,
Prometheus.
I think people just realize one day, oh, that's kind of gross.
What,
and it's not even shame. It's not like you come back from the bathroom like looking ashamed of yourself because you just pooped. Like everyone accepts that you have to do it. There's nothing shameful about it.
I think it probably came into effect when we had like social contracts came into effect. When people realized you couldn't do whatever the hell you wanted.
So you couldn't just go out, like if I sat here and took a dump on this table, you guys would be a little bit,
you couldn't
probably norm more than Gary.
Why you can't just walk up to someone and punch them in the face, because that makes someone else unhappy. But like me taking a poop doesn't make you unhappy. It might if I did it in front of you.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the reason.
I mean, put it another way, probably the most shameful thing that you can do in a social situation is crap your pants, right?
Well, I mean, because that's something that says something about, your fear response to a situation or whatever, or your inability to control your body. But I think the only really pragmatic thing totally practical thing you can say is bad about pooping is that it's potentially unhygienic.
Well,
that's pretty much it.
I mean, potential. I guess maybe, I don't know. I don't think pooping is unhygienic. You wash your hands afterwards. Everything's fine.
But again, you have to wash your hand. You have to practice hygiene because you're doing something that is unhygienic. You have to balance it out.
Well, okay, so let me ask you a question. The astronaut who went off the deep end and was having an affair with somebody else and drove from Florida to Texas or whatever.
Diapers lady.
Right, the diapers lady. Was that a story, a big, huge story because she was an astronaut and she was having an extramarital affair? Or was it a huge story because she put on a pair of space diapers to drive across the country without having to stop?
That's a hard one to unpack because there were so many components of it that were crazy. It's hard to figure out what... That was just a big bouillabaisse of crazy. So,
also, space diapers.
The diapers made it funnier.
Space diapers are difficult to unpack. There's a lot of build-up in there. I think it's because she was an astronaut. And those people are supposed to live by different standards.
So you think the diapers were just an added bonus?
Yes.
It's like
the tail end of that story.
The icing on the cake of the crazy astronaut lady story.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So before we wrap up news, let's talk about CES a little bit because it is around the corner.
Are you still not going?
Well, I mean, a lot of it depends on the impending birth of my child.
All right, yeah, biological factors.
Will is most likely not going.
If I come, I will come for a day or two and fly in and out on the same day. I think
that is extremely irresponsible for your child.
It depends. Well, so the thing that you learn in childbirth class, which I finished my 4th class last night, thus making me prepared to participate in my child's birth.
Nothing can possibly surprise you now.
8 hours, I know everything I need to know.
I guarantee you now that you've done those 4 classes, absolutely everything that happens from now on, you will completely anticipate and be 100% prepared.
You can deliver that alien baby.
It worked out
for the New Jersey Turnpike.
So when you were taking that class, did you have the like? They tell you this is when you're supposed to press the call button to get the nurse and the doctor is there. Like when this starts happening, press the button because it can go fast at that point. And at that point, are you thinking, man, what would I do if you press the button and they're not there fast enough? There's not anybody. Do you catch the baby? I think you catch the baby. You have to catch the baby, right?
Yeah, but the good thing about the call button is that when you press that button, they are there very, very quickly.
Okay. I'm sure it seems like
you feel fairly confident about that. I pressed that button a lot of times, and the person was always there very quickly.
I want to catch the baby.
You could not press the button.
I guess I could not press the button.
And so, oops, I forgot to press the button.
I must have missed. I hit the lean up button instead.
And
Gina would be really pissed off at me.
Now I got a baby.
One of the things that you learn in the childbirth class is that there are several very good indicators about when the child is going to be born. So you get a basically 7 to 10 day window based on some things happening. And if those things haven't happened, you're probably okay. So we'll look at that. And if I want to come out for a day or two and the window hasn't started opening, then I'll come. And if not, then I won't. And there will be no Will Smith at CES for the first time in a long time, which I'm actually okay with.
It's not going to be that exciting as CES.
It's a shit CES.
No
it looks
Microsoft.
The TV companies are all imploding.
Never been any Google there. No Apple, obviously. Yeah, we'll be there. Joey and I will be there.
You and Joey.
And friends.
Yeah.
Gary, you're not coming, right?
I haven't decided yet.
Oh.
You know, if you want, you can come over to my house. We can play a little blackjack. We can act like we're in Vegas, even though we're not. Stay up until like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'll get some oxygen. We'll pump it straight into the living room.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I'm going to do this year. I am owed a Vegas trip, and I do like to go at CES every year, but it won't be the same if you guys aren't there. That's a big part of what makes it fun.
Half us will be there.
Yeah, the fun half won't be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
There.
I mean, I do like Vegas.
No pressure.
We'll be announcing our CS plans before the end of the year.
Have you seen any... I mean, I've seen the invites for meetings and stuff come in. I haven't seen anything that looked interesting yet. It's a lot of kind of, hey guys, it's the same stuff we've been doing for a long time, but it's shinier and newer. Same thing it always is, I guess.
Yeah.
And with that, do you want to talk about SIGGRAPH, Norm?
I think it's a really cool video that everyone should watch. SIGGRAPH, is it a 3D graphics?
SIGGRAPH is like the research graphics. So it's
research graphics.
But it's not. So SIGGRAPH is where things like OpenGL, new versions of OpenGL, and even I think DirectX was maybe shown there early. It's where it's a real weird mix because it's stuff like CAD stuff, and then it's also like movie rendering stuff. So Pixar, when they want to show off something new that they've done, they'll come and talk. Like you can go to a talk at SIGGRAPH. I went to a talk one year from a Pixar guy that was all about the lighting shaders in Finding
awesome
Nemo
shit.
or something like that.
It's TED for real smart people. For nerds, super nerds.
It's TED for John Carmack. It's TED for graphics people.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
There's a really cool video you should watch with a preview of all the...
Is it on the site, perhaps?
On the site. All the high-profile talks that are going to be at SIGGRAPH going on this week in Singapore. And the procedurally generated stuff and all that computational stuff looks incredible.
And Norm, it looks like you also wanted to talk about teabagging.
When you guys drink tea, do you dunk your tea bag into the teacup?
Well, I mean, I put the tea in the cup.
What is Gary, as the resident expert on tea,
talking to the microphone,
being English?
First of all, that's racist.
No, it's not
more placist than racist.
Well, it depends on how I'm making my tea. I'm really the only one in the house who drinks tea, so usually I'll just put a tea bag into a cup. But if we have people over, then I'll put tea bags into a pot and make a pot of tea.
I love making.
Oh, you put the bags in the pot though?
Yeah.
Ew.
Oh, that's weird. The best way of making tea I found is to get one of those pots that you can put tea leaves in and filter it out. Using real tea leaves is, I think, the best. But tea bags
are filled with real tea leaves, right?
It's true. Yes.
Okay.
But the tea leaves that are in tea bags are often processed differently.
So it's like a Keurig.
Being in the tea bag with that density of tea leaves that you need can affect the texture of the leaf.
And then there's also all this talk about grinding, like how they're processed. Like, do they rub the oil off the outside of the leaf? Are they cut? Are they crushed?
Right. At least with the straight up tea leaves, you can get a literal feel for the leaves and see them. But also the actual bag itself. So a lot of people use like pillowcase style bags where they punch their own leaves in like a little bag and then drop it in.
Oh, instead of having like a Lipton bag?
Instead of having a pre-made bag.
Okay.
But a lot of people, there is a common belief that when you make tea, you put your tea bag in your cup of hot water and you have the string and you lift it up and you dunk.
And is the idea there because the thing that happens, I find, because I usually do the other thing, I roll the tea bag up on the spoon and then kind of mash it out a little bit so that all the super concentrated tea inside the bag goes back into the cup.
And you also probably throw away your tea bag before you drink.
Well, it depends on it. Yeah, it depends. That's more of a logistics thing. Like if I take the cup into the couch before it's all the way brewed, I'll leave the bag in the whole time. If I make the tea and then and it sits long enough to steep, then I'll take it out and put it in the sink before.
Well, guess what? A tea chemist who has actually done research on this,
published research,
said that dunking your tea bag, swirling it around, does not actually assist in the diffusion of tea.
Really?
There is no statistical evidence.
So how did he measure this?
By measuring concentration of tea and trying different methods. And
did he do the push out at the end where he pushes out the concentrated tea?
that was not part of dunking. Dunking
okay.
is pure creating action.
Movement inside the cup.
Yes,
a strong Brownian motion producer.
That does not actually help. So what that does, though, is help pass the time and make it feel like you're actually doing something. But if you leave tea bag in hot water, and wait your 5 minutes, your tea's gonna be exactly.
So has this changed the way you make tea, Norm?
No, I always use I always leave it in there.
You use the loose leaves.
Yeah, I think more important is the type of tea you buy, and also the temperature of your water.
Yeah, not too hot. Well, for black tea, you usually go to boiling, but for everything else, you want a little bit lower, right? And that'll do it for news this week, I guess. Unless anybody else has anything they want to add at the last minute. No breaking news. Let's
I don't think so.
Play some music and talk about what we've been testing. So the Wii U came out the week before Thanksgiving, last week. They've added a bunch of stuff to it in the last, say, 7 to 10 days. All the video stuff works now. YouTube, Hulu, Amazon, Netflix. Some of that was kind of slow rollout. I've spent some time with that. The channels that actually will let you switch between watching on the TV and watching on the pad are quite good. So I think that's Amazon. I think it's everything but Hulu, I think. I can't remember. I'd have to look at my notes. But yeah, the couple of them only work on the big screen, and that I find really weird. That's what I got. Have you Wii U time, Gary, at all?
Yeah, a little bit. I do like the fact that you can just pick up the pad and play a game or mess around in the Miiverse and add friends and stuff without having to switch the TV over. You really can just treat it like a handheld, basically.
Yeah.
I still think their social features and friend features are really bad. I think there's aspects of the Miiverse that are good.
The load times on the menus are still awful.
Yeah, simple things like adding friends is nowhere near as simple as it ought to be. I did like Zombie U, which I was very down on, and then I got to play a bit of your copy and actually thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's quite good. I've played a little bit more of it. It is a very difficult game, especially like it's interesting because it has a strong parallel to what was the Wii launch game from Ubi that had the sword?
Red Steel.
Yeah, that game was terrible. It was unplayable. This is the same kind of violent launch game. Pretty much one of the only violent not original titles for Wii U. And it's quite good. I really enjoyed it. I only played it after dark though.
Yeah, I like it.
And my Wii's been here for the last few days, so I haven't gotten to play it lately. But I think it's pretty good.
So I'm liking it. I still think the potential is tremendous, but I think it's got a long way to go.
Well, there you go. See, I got to spend a couple of hours working. Adam bought a replicator too, just to kind of noodle around with. And I went over and helped him.
Just to noodle around with.
Yeah, to noodle around with. It's it's a 3D. So what? I went over there and actually helped him set it up and get it working because he had a little bit of trouble working through the initial on that kind of 3D printer. And we discovered this with the replicator too. Like a lot of the build quality you get out of it is dramatically affected by how well you level the build plate when you're first setting it up. And it's still a little bit tricky. So we helped him work through that. It's a dramatically faster printer than our replicator one, even though the resolution is about the same. So that's what I'll say.
It's not easy enough for dude to buy it at home who's never used a replicator.
I really think that the market for that is dudes who use 3D printers at work and are familiar with both what they're capable of and the limitations. It's not like if you want to get something for your kids to have a 3D printer and to mess around with 123D design and stuff like that, which actually I've done. Like you can take something, build it in 123 design, and then 123D design, whatever, the Autodesk thing, and then export an STL file and send it to the printer, and it works, which is amazing. There are a bunch of $500-$600 3D printers that are markedly less capable. Some of them are kits, but they're basically RepRap based printers, just like the original MakerBot Cupcake and Thingamatic were, and the Replicator for that matter. And they'll give you a good place to start without having to spend $3,000. Which is fantastic. That's I think more interesting than the replicator in a lot of ways. So I was thinking about getting a couple of those kits in and putting them together and doing some comparison stories. If you guys are interested in that, let us know and we'll look at doing it. But yeah, so Replicator 2, it does exactly what it says it does.
Breaking news, Microsoft has now said that Windows Phone 7.8 will come out Q1 2013.
Wow, awesome.
Next year. Also, they've sold 40 million copies of Windows 8 to licenses.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that in news. That includes everything, stuff you buy online, enterprise licenses, the whole 9 yards, right?
So it's less indicative of Windows 8's enduring success with users and acceptability, but more about money and how much sheer money revenue Microsoft is raking in. Windows 8.
Does that include like people who have site licenses for all Microsoft, like seat by seat, even if they're not deploying it?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, so that means if you're a Fortune 500 company and you have a license for everybody in your company to use Windows, they're counting that in that total.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Kindle Fire 8.9. We shot the quick look of that earlier this week, and that'll go up late this week or early next. It's like I said, we talked about it already. It's a really nice video player. It is not so hot as a reader, and I would rather have something smaller and better, whether it's a 7-inch Android tablet, a 7-inch Kindle Fire, or iPad Mini.
I agree.
And by 7-inch Android tablet, you just mean the Nexus 7.
I mean the Nexus 7, yeah. Baby stuff. I put together a bunch of baby furniture this weekend. Have either of you done IKEA furniture lately? I hadn't built IKEA furniture in a long time.
My pro tip for IKEA furniture is actually do not buy IKEA furniture. If you need IKEA furniture, and some of it actually does look good, go to Craigslist. People sell IKEA furniture all the time.
So on
pre-built,
on most stuff, I would totally agree with you. On a crib, you do not want to buy a used crib.
I don't think you want to buy an IKEA crib either.
You know what? It turns out you do, because they're the only ones that make kind of plain design. Like if you want something that's not crazy ornate and has a bunch of like arches and flares and looks like a fucking sleigh bed.
You mean a castle for your baby?
Yeah, the baby doesn't care if it's a castle. The baby is not going to be conscious as a human during the time that it lives in this crib.
The baby castle looks great.
Well, we put the dog in the crib as soon as it was built. We bought the IKEA crib because it's cheap and it has to last 1.5 years, 2 years, and then they go into a normal bed. But putting together IKEA stuff kind of scratches the same itch as Lego. Like it was pretty fun.
Way more frustrating.
Oh, I don't think so. It was like this was simple IKEA stuff.
Maybe it depends on the furniture, but IKEA requires way more holding stuff in place because the pieces are range widely in size and weight.
Maybe. I don't know. I had a good time. We built a bunch of IKEA shit.
You're left with a ton of packaging also. I hate IKEA packaging. I hate those boxes.
Yeah, I just jammed them out in the street in somebody else's trash.
Okay.
Yeah. Gary, Norm, anything you guys have been testing?
I've been playing some other games.
We played Planetside this weekend.
Yeah, so you want to talk about that real quick?
Wait, do you want to talk about... If we're talking about games, do you want to quickly talk about Walking Dead?
I haven't played episode 5 yet. I know I'm bad.
Has Norm even been playing it?
I finished it.
Oh, okay, good for you.
Why do you think I tweeted the awesome tweet?
Oh, that's right. I didn't realize you hadn't been playing it though. Were you waiting for like all 5 to come out?
No. I did 2 and 3 in one day, and then 4 and 5 in one day.
Okay, great.
It's wonderful. Joey beat it also.
I'll play it before next week. I promise.
You don't beat that game; it beats you.
Yeah, like Gina and I. At one point this weekend, we sat down and we're like, "Hey, we have like 2 hours. We could finish Walking Dead." And we both looked at it, and I was like, "I'm in a really good mood right now, and I'm not feeling bad about the world or anything. I'm having a nice time."
You don't feel bad about the world,
dude. The episode 3, like I was upset at the end of episode 3.
You're a delicate butterfly.
I am a delicate butterfly. You got a problem with that? Can we talk about Planetside?
It's just
yeah.
Planetside, I thought was pretty good.
I loved the original Planetside, and I was very excited for Planetside 2. But then in jumping in, I was like, oh my God, I didn't remember being this overwhelmed by everything that's going on. Is this what it was like? Because it had been a while.
The first one
I had a lot more fun once they teamed up with you guys and with Evan, and a couple of people actually knew what was going on.
Yeah.
That's the key to playing.
Yeah,
people actually know what's happening.
Like most MMOs, right? Having a big team of people that'll go out and do stuff with you makes it a lot more fun.
But it's unlike any MMO I've played, not just in that it's a shooter, but also that there are no little instances. You can move, you can see, hundreds of people swarming.
Yeah. And the fact that it's free to play means that it's very, very well populated because lots of people are jumping in.
Did you not play the original, Norm?
Nope.
You didn't pay for it, right?
No.
Yeah. So This is the way the original one was, although from mechanically, like from a shooting perspective, this one seems to work much better. The original game was kind of is your target on the hitbox of a bad guy? Yes, no. Throw an RNG and that determines what the damage is or whether it hits. I couldn't remember exactly how it works. This seems to be much better constructed, although the map is nowhere near as good. Like this doesn't tell you where you need to go on the map as well as the old game did.
No, set waypoints.
No, I know that, but I mean, like on the original Planetside, there was a grid, and the bases were connected in a specific way. So you had to follow those connection lines. You couldn't skip past a base just because it was too contested or whatever and go to the next one. And
that's the fun. That's the battlefield aspect. If you want to avoid the giant 200 versus 200 person battle and try to take on a small base with your squad, you can do that.
You could always do that with towers and stuff, but the big bases, you had to actually, it works more like that biolab where you have to attack a couple of the surrounding places first and then attack the main base. I quite like it. I think we need to get an outfit or clan or whatever they call it in Planetside and get a bunch of people playing.
My problem with that game is that it never ends. They're unlike a Battlefield game where you can have 64-player Battlefield matches, and they go on for a long time, several hours. But at the end of that, some team wins, and I don't care if I win or lose. But at the end, the game resets. So in Planetside, there are 3 continents, which are the only 3 maps there are in the game. 3 giant maps. Each map is different. One's an ice level, one's a desert, and one's more of a tropical level. And in each of the maps, there are 3 factions, which is awesome because you're fighting 2 different factions at once. And the territories are go back and forth, and the front lines go back and forth.
And each faction has kind of different weak and strong points.
But your faction can never take over the entire map. You can never win.
They can.
You can't because the home warp gates will never be captured.
You can push them all the way back to the warp gates, though.
But then there's no finality.
Yeah, I mean, there is. It just means...
What's the finality?
Well, once you capture the last base, everybody usually goes to one of the other continents. That's the way it worked before.
I think they should set it on like a weekly or monthly schedule where...
I think they'll probably do that.
You push it to, take over, either make it scale it somehow so you can jump in and say, okay, I'm in the middle point of a battle, of a monthly battle, and we're going to get to the end. At the end of the month, it will tally up the scores. Someone's going to win.
Yeah.
And then reset.
I do want to get back in. That last session that we all played together, I did actually have some fun because it felt slightly more organized.
And after you left, there was a huge, because it was a great day-night cycle. So even though it's 3 maps, it's actually almost like 6 or 12 different maps.
Well, they're continents.
The thing is, how much can a small group of us, how much of a dent can we really make in a battle of that scale? I mean, we're not really going to.
But you still feel as important if you grab a team of 8 people and you capture a small base and you capture 4 or 5 territories in your couple hours of play. You feel like you've done something.
And the thing you need is like multiple vehicles. So we need either like a couple people in Reapers and a Galaxy, or a couple people in tanks and a Sunderer, whatever. No, and kind of roll out as a squad.
But can you ever really organize the game on a strategic enough level that you can hope to actually have a map-wide strategy, or
absolutely.
Can you just hope that your little group is doing a good thing?
I think
for the bigger picture.
I think I don't know how the command rank stuff works yet because I haven't unlocked any of that at all. But in the old game, what happened was when you generated enough command rank, then you could participate in continent-wide command channels. And then people who were higher ranked than you would say, "Yeah, we need help at such and such base. Yeah, can we send a couple of squads there?"
Looking at the big strategic picture.
Yeah, do you remember
tactical stuff?
Do you remember, Gary, in the end that episode of DS9 where after they lose DS9 and they leave Defiant, they abandon it, and the Cardassians take over. Right? Yeah. And then Defiant joins that massive Starfleet force.
Yes.
Right? It feels like that. When your little squad rolls in your, 3 tanks or something, and then you suddenly join this armada of, 100 tanks. Yeah. And just rolling across the desert. That's awesome.
Yeah, because
it is missing. Maybe it's there, I don't know, but I've always had a fantasy of that big, really structured, strategic level planetary war game. Because right now, all that happens is we wander around and go, oh, look, there's a base. It looks like some of our guys are attacking that. Let's go help out. Yeah, I mean, that's just completely chaotic.
It's very R2-D2, C-3PO.
But in a perfect world, the way that works is that you're a part of an outfit or clan or whatever, and your guys are kind of, somebody is watching overall to see where things are good and where are bad. And people are reporting back up. But the thing about a big giant battle like that is leverage is the key. right? So a relatively small number of people can have a massive impact if you cut off the right place and cut off a supply line or open a shield at the right time or whatever. Because, I mean, we saw it happen a couple times. It may have been after you left, but like you'd roll into a base with a whole bunch of tanks and stuff, which was awesome until they got the turrets online, and then the tanks got eaten up, and all of a sudden you were just a bunch of infantry guys around this giant base and you were hosed. So then either you had to go back and regroup and bring in more support or figure something else out.
I do want to try it more. I feel like it's one of those games that the more you put into it, the more you'll get out.
It's probably a bad game for people who have children on the way or infants in the house.
I mean, the first, and again, the first hour, especially if you're on your own, like I was, just jumped in solo, you've got no sense of being in any way significant or having any clue what's going on. It's just totally confusing. But with a small group and you start doing the rules and figure out vehicles and stuff, it becomes more fun.
Yep.
But yeah, like no game really other than letterpress or things like that you can play in like 30-second spells is really going to be very family friendly.
Exactly. You want to take a couple questions and call it a show, guys?
Sure.
Emails?
Well, but we do the other one.
Emails.
Because it's, we don't do emails, we do...
Emails?
No. Questions. Boom.
If you have a question for this only test, the email address is podcast@tested.com. Keep it short, under a minute, and make sure it doesn't sound like you're recording from underneath a train. Here is our first question. It is a humdinger.
Hi, Tested crew. Jack from Liverpool, ancestral home of Daniel Craig. One day, while recording the podcast, the regular crew and potential guest are tron-scanned into a game you own. Given that if you die, you're dead for real, and you can only escape when you see the credits at the end of the game, what game would it be? And separately, as a would you rather, your choices are condensed into 3 options. The default ship in FTL, the Kessler, a new team in XCOM, or a delve in Spelunky. You can have different answers, but you do have to go in as a team. Thanks, and always be testing.
So the Tron scan question is a good question. Which game would you go into if you die, you die?
And so you had to beat it?
You have to see the credits and survive to the credits in order to live, escape, I guess.
So what game are you very confident in that you would...
Journey.
You could get to the end?
Journey.
Yeah, I guess it's an easy answer. You can't really die.
Well, you don't pick the path.
Yeah, I would pick Journey because you can't die. Well,
you
can die.
You can die. It's very difficult to die.
But
it's
it's difficult to lose. It's not difficult to die.
Well, and actually, depending on your interpretation of the game, you can only die.
Right. I mean, so the question is, do you pick something that's really easy or really, really, that you're really familiar with?
something easy. What is the shortest game to getting to the credits?
Well, you can play Myst and get all the way through the credits in about 5 minutes if you know what you're doing.
There you go.
That doesn't seem very satisfying.
Well, I don't think the point is
you just want to get
satisfied. You want to survive.
Well, what if you want to? I mean, maybe you want to experience the game world. I feel like I'd probably play Call of Duty a lot differently.
You're troned into it,
right? I definitely don't want to play a Tron game. Those are really hard. Discs of Tron is all-time difficult. Maybe Xevious seems like a good way to die fast.
What about Dark Souls?
No. I don't think I could wear that armor. Maybe Portal.
You can die in Portal a lot, though.
Yeah, but I'm good at Portal.
But you need if you were troned in, you would need to use your agility. Your personal.
Oh, you think I'm not Chell?
I don't think you're a Chell. You are no Chell.
But it seems like when you're troned in, you maybe are the platonic ideal of yourself, not necessarily yourself.
Still no Chell. Saints Row the Third.
You die a lot in Saints Row the Third.
How do you play on easy mode?
You can die jumping out of the back of a plane, firing.
Yeah,
Uzis.
go
That's
through the front of the plane, jump out of the back of the plane, go back in the front of the plane.
Man, I gotta play that game again.
This game's really good.
You can die in a shootout with police wearing a giant head.
Yeah, you can just go naked everywhere.
Yeah.
Blurred out.
That zombie island. That zombie island kind of freaks me out. I don't like going there.
I avoid Zombie Island.
I gotta play some of the DLC.
Only one of the DLCs was. Some of them were not real good. But yeah, I would play some more Saints Row.
I'm gonna check out that Mass Effect DLC as well.
Did you play any games over the weekend, Gary?
I'm still working my way through Halo 4. Will, you and I got to do some Spartan Ops.
Yeah, shoot me a text whenever. Yeah,
I will. And I've been playing To the Moon on Steam.
I heard it's really good.
Loving it. Very cute little game.
What kind of game is it?
RPG.
Like an adventure? Oh, RPG.
It's like an old-fashioned top-down 2D RPG, but the storyline is really interesting and not the kind of thing that you typically see in a video
I hear it's
game.
like Moonlight Sonata plus Inception.
Yeah, I played a little bit of Hitman Absolution, but I just couldn't get into it. It's one of those games that, like, in the first 10 minutes just turned me off.
So I always have that experience with the first level of Hitman games. I played Absolution this weekend too, and it is very Hitman-y in a way that I like. Like you could totally.
It's too laborious. Like okay, I've killed this guy, but now I've got to drag him all the way over here. It's like it's too slow.
And I played a couple hours of Assassin's Creed 3, which I'm enjoying. Okay. Although I read something online that now I can't get out of my head. The game is very much like the Magic School Bus.
What's the Magic School Bus?
You know the Magic School Bus?
No.
Mr. Frizzle? You know, it's that PBS show or book where
that you like go back in time.
The kids go on a magic school bus to go into someone's body or learn something about science. You go back in time. But like those educational shows, you know, if they are teaching you about the revolution, then suddenly, who's the first person you meet? Well, it's Benjamin Franklin.
Oh, hi, Ben Franklin.
Oh, what are you doing down the street? Yeah, in Assassin's Creed 3, it's like you land on America and like, oh, it's Ben Franklin.
It kind of weirded me out that Ben Franklin seems to be the Da Vinci of this game. At least I only played a couple hours of it. I got kind of bored and moved over to Hitman, which I liked a lot more. Which I think is. So
should I not bother with this? I've still got Dishonored. Should I just play that and not bother?
No,
with
I think you should do Assassin's Creed instead of Dishonored. But
really?
With Assassin's Creed, I think
you played Dishonored.
I have not played Dishonored.
Dishonored's pretty good, dude.
I mean, I kind of want to play Dishonored.
It's a Harvey Smith joint. It's if you liked. If you it's kind of system shocky, but a lot easier than that. Like you can, the thing is, if you play Dishonored, it's going to tell you don't kill people because it makes your score bad. Don't worry about that. Just if you get frustrated, just start killing people, and it works itself out.
I did finally play some XCOM, and I got to say, I totally get why people that love the original XCOM love this. For me, as someone who never really got very deep into turn-based strategy games, it's a lot to ask.
The thing I would tell you about XCOM is that there's a great post, and I can't remember which message board it is, but Chris Remo tweeted it, that explains like some real low-level XCOM strategy. And once you understand that, then it makes the game much more fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with it. I think I'm just one of those people that doesn't like turn-based games.
I generally don't like turn-based games at all, and I can't get enough XCOM.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean for what that's worth. What about the second part of the question? You're an XCOM squad, you're a Spelunky team, or you're I can't remember what the other one was. It was something else you die a lot in. I think the best chance of survival is an XCOM team. That's really saying something. Because Spelunky, you're going to die a lot. There's no avoiding that. And I don't remember what the other game was.
I haven't played Spelunky.
You should not. Spelunky is not for you, Gary.
I still have to play. God, I'm looking at the list of games just here on my Steam that I haven't even played yet. I got to play Mark of the Ninja. I still have to finish To the Moon. I haven't played Dishonored. Jeez, there were a lot of games.
All of the games.
Yeah, a lot of games.
Norm, Spelunky, XCOM, or the other game that we can't remember?
I'm going to choose the other game I can't remember.
Why is that?
Because we can't remember.
One more question, guys? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll leave it up to you.
Tested crew. This is Josh from Hayward, California. Hometown trivia real quick. Hayward high-profile people includes Bill Walsh, three-time Super Bowl champion coach, figure skater Christy Yamaguchi, and actor/wrestler Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
A lot of people.
Anyway, I do some Justin TV live streams type stuff. Mostly audio, but I'm looking to do a bit more in video. I do some with XSplit right now, but I like to set up multiple cameras, get some angles, figure that out. Looked at GoPros and things, but what I'm really trying to figure out is what's a good setup that gives me the flexibility to set up some cameras for just a coverage on a room. So if I wanted to get one or two shots of a particular scene, kind of similar to what you guys did for the Oktobercast, but also gave the kind of flexibility if I wanted to kind of GoPro it up and do a walk on the street and things like that. Of course, not looking to spend ridiculous amounts of money, if at all possible. Also, a would you rather? Would you rather have all bad drivers removed off the road, or never have to be in a line again for restaurants or movies or any line?
Oh man, that's a good one.
Thanks very much. Keep on testing. And P.S. Pretzel M&M's rule.
pretzels, M&Ms do rule. Correct answer is no lines.
Drivers.
No lines.
Yeah.
I'm good
Lines.
enough.
I'd get rid of lines.
Yeah.
That one's not even difficult.
Yeah.
I just avoid lines. I think you can avoid lines better than you can avoid bad drivers.
But think about being able to go to Disneyland and never having to wait in a line.
Exactly. Ooh.
That's interesting. Never really
Cut
been
in front, and the best part is the lines. I want to imagine where the lines.
You just
don't
want to cut in
disappear.
front of the children.
The lines are all still there, but you just don't have to wait in them.
Wow.
Yes, I would just go around, walk around the street, and look for long lines, and go, whoa, look at this nice long line we
my
got here.
God.
Well, that's what I used to love about that front of the line pass they used to give you at Disneyland. They don't do it anymore, but it used to be great.
Do you have to pay more for it?
Yeah, it's
Or is it
it's
for
more
specials?
expensive. But you used to be able to cut to the front of the line. They don't do it now.
That's not
They
very
still do it at
egalitarian.
Universal, not at Disneyland.
I-
Disneyland will give you a ticket to come back
Yeah.
to the right
Yeah, I like that.
and be able to go straight on,
It's
but you can only have one
Yes.
of those
The
passes.
fast pass or something.
Yeah.
The brilliant thing about that thing is they don't want you to spend time in lines because they want you to spend time shopping.
Spend time spending money.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not fun to go to a theme park and spend most of your time standing in a line.
It would be awesome to go to Six Flags and just get on one roller coaster and then get off and then get right back on again until you threw up. What was this question? Oh, streaming stuff. You're asking for two different things. If you want to stream video, then you're probably going to use webcams unless you want to spend a ton of money. Our semi-pro SDI out Panasonic cameras still cost a couple of grand each. So that seems probably outside the realm of some casual streaming. You can get on the other hand, you get really good webcams like a Logitech. The high-end Logitech 1080p cameras are $50 each.
That's the one I'm using right now, and it's great.
Yeah, you can plug them into. Yeah, you look really good, Gary. You can plug them into XSplit and use that as a video switcher. If you want to do that with real cameras, then you're gonna have to spend like the video switcher that we use is like 25 grand. So it's probably not what you're gonna want to do.
God, when are we gonna have USB 3 cameras?
I don't know. Does his bitrate look bad?
No, but I remember going to IDF and seeing the demos of USB 3 cameras plugged in and doing 2560 by 4K off webcam.
Yeah, but nobody has upstream for that.
But it looks awesome.
Okay. I almost think that the thing you can do is like if you want to do GoPro capture, you need an HDMI capture device. You can get live feed out of the HDMI port on a GoPro that destroys the battery on them, so you have to also have them plugged into power when you're doing that.
Not such a big issue. But
No.
With that, you can also go
we
walk
lost
around.
Gary. Can you grab the mouse and dial him back? Yeah, you can do that. You're correct. The HDMI capture device is probably going to be $150 or $200 if you want a no lag one. So something to think about. And I guess that'll do it for questions this week. And hopefully we can get Gary back because that is the end of the show. For Norman Chan, who is, do we get him back? Do we have full Gary?
So this is why I love Windows PCs.
Did you just Windows key out or something?
No, I didn't. What happened was I had an update, as there always fucking is on a PC, a software update that needed to be installed, and because there was a restart that was necessary, the computer just decided that it was time to restart, even though I never asked it to, never prompted or touched anything. It just decided to boot, and the fact that it knows there's a Skype call running. Oh no, fuck all that. I'm gonna shut your computer off now in the middle of you doing something else and install an update.
Hey, you
Brilliant.
restarted and came back pretty quickly though.
And people wonder why I like a Mac. Well, it started the shutdown process, and I aborted it. Bullshit.
So I was just saying that'll do it for us this week.
Well, I would ask you, since you brought up the GoPro, have you given any more thought to wearing a GoPro for the birth? It seems like that would be a good way to go.
I have discussed it with my wife, and together we came to the consensus that it may not be the best idea. It was a team effort. I can't help but notice that you didn't have GoPro footage from inside the birth of your child.
Well, I didn't have a GoPro. If you'd have given me one,
I would have been happy to loan you one.
Yeah, I know. Well, I didn't. It never occurred to me at the time.
You
But
want to be
maybe for the next one.
the dad to be running inside the hospital with the chest strap.
Yeah, and the helmet and the strap on the helmet.
Oh my goodness. Full coverage.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
What I figured we could do is we could just put one on Gina's head so we get her perspective too.
Well, you should get both, and you could and cut back and forth. You can make a whole little movie.
I'm sure you
Yeah.
get the front page of Reddit with that.
It's exactly what everyone wants to see. My GoPro birth. I bet we could be GoPro promotional materials with that. It's the most extreme thing that they've done yet.
What is more extreme than that?
Yeah, let me run. I'll run it by the wife again, see what she says. But
I'm sure you'll come back with another joint decision.
I'm not feeling good about that.
Picture what Norm said, that you could wind up on the front page of Reddit.
Right. I think that's probably not a positive given the mechanics of birth. And on that note, Gary, Walking Dead episode 5 is out now.
Walking Dead episode 5 is currently out, getting amazing reviews. It's cool now to see people actually reviewing the whole season.
Yeah.
And Alex Navarro at Giant Bomb gave us 5 stars, which is very cool. And
well, I mean, they're crooked though.
Coming out very soon, and we hope to be in the picture for some of the Game of the Year stuff as well. It's very flattering, even just to be in the conversation. Which Walking Dead very much is.
Gary, when you say people are reviewing as entire season, do you mean that people are reviewing as if you bought it and then played it in one sitting, as if it was one game, not episodic?
I don't know if they're necessarily playing through it that way. They're just, now that people have had a chance to play all 5 episodes, they're just, some of them may be going back and refreshing themselves and playing the whole thing, but I think most of the time people are just...
Because even though it's episodic, really, you can't play one without playing the others, and you got to play them in order. Like, I don't see anyone buying just episode 4 and playing it by itself.
Yeah, but I think...
but people have been reviewing the episodes. Each episode has its own score.
Yeah, I think it's...
That's weird.
I think it's...
As a buying recommendation, like, I wouldn't say skip 3 or skip 2 because...
Well, no, you have to play all 5. Obviously, it's one contiguous story, but I think probably reviewing it as a whole makes a lot of sense.
Makes more sense.
I don't know. I still think the ultimate way to experience it was in the original episodic model, where you've got to wait between episodes. But I think a lot of people that will discover the game on disc will enjoy playing through in one go.
Yeah. We know people.
One good way to do it might be to play like one episode a day and just play it through the whole. But it's been very good to see, the whole season, obviously, I think is very, very strong, and it's good to see it getting good reviews. And I think next week or the week after, somewhere in the near future, we're going to see the boxed version of it, which would be very cool.
Cool. Norman Chan, we have a bullwhip video up this week. People should watch that. We explode pudding cups with a bullwhip. I mean, where else are you going to see that? You went down and saw some battle robots, killer death robots a few weeks ago.
Cup, 2012.
Yeah, tell me a little. So, like, what's this? Like, I watched the video, but I wasn't able to go that day. What's the scene like there? Is it like a bunch of bearded dudes? Are there stands?
There are stands.
Are they selling beer?
They are selling beer in the room. Anchor Steam, I think, is a sponsor, but they did not attend this year.
Okay, so like, is it like rowdy, like a wrestling match?
A lot of kids.
Is it okay?
It wasn't too many people. The stands were full, but not too many people lingering around. It was in San Mateo, so kind of far away.
Like where Maker Faire is?
Yeah, but not nearly as packed. It's just in that center auditorium.
Okay.
And only half of that. Most of it was the pit for builders. This is the kind of event that's really, while it's fun for people to come and watch and spectate, and you could see a lot of robots destroying each other, it's made for the builders themselves.
So like the Power Racing series, kind of.
Yeah, it's for people to have an excuse to build robots to destroy each other. And it's all the BattleBots people. I mean, you got some new teams, some engineering school students and stuff like that.
So is this is spawned from the ashes of BattleBots? Is that what happened? Or is it the same people even?
It's all the same people.
Okay. Fun? Would you recommend it?
Yes, absolutely.
And what was the best? What was the... Like, I remember in the old BattleBots days, people, like the wedges that flipped other robots over were frequently the winners and kind of boring.
Always the spinners.
So the spinners are something with a spinning flail on it, basically?
Heavy spinning steel rod.
Sounds like a lot of fun. Like a lawnmower, basically, but without the mower.
It could be a vertical spinner or horizontal spinner.
Cool. And that's on the site as well, so you can check that out. People seem to be getting a kick out of that. And that'll do it for us this week. For Norman Chan and Gary Whitta, I'm Will Smith.
Should we talk about we have new bumpers and acknowledge things?
Outtakes?
Oh, sure.
Okay. For Norman Chan and Gary Whitta, I'm Will Smith. See you guys on next Thursday for another episode of This Is Only a Test. Stay tuned for some fake outtakes. Today's outro comes from Dandy Schlong Legs.
Awesome.
Dandy Schlong Legs. Hi there, I didn't see you. Tested. I like Gary, and I like parties. So I'm going to go to Gary's party. So there's a new bumper.
Yeah, we're things are happening. So stay tuned. That's all I want to say.
Really?
Be alert.
That was it?
Keep your eyes open.
That's what you got?
Yep.
Any kind of timeline you want to give on this?
4 days.
Before the end of the year?
Wait, what's happening in 4 days?
Nothing right now. 4 days is too soon. It's more than 4, less than 60. Let's say that. Some things are going to change.
What
Things
is
are
going on?
going to get real. We have a new bumper on our videos. I don't know if you've seen that, Gary.
I haven't seen that. No, I haven't watched one of your videos lately.
It features the blockheads. You should watch.
Oh, well, I'm always glad to see them.
Yeah, you should check out the Bullwhip video, or the Combots video has it. The Adam podcast from this week has it. We talked about recasting. That was interesting. Yeah. The video today about dovetailing, that'll have it. A lot of stuff.
Why do you have a Codlops video?
No, not a Codblops. Combots. The
battle
bots.
I got Codlops on the brain.
Yeah.
Well, you can't get enough Codlops, Gary. So yeah, baby class. I don't know. What do we want to talk about today? Anybody got anything? I thought the new bumpers were going to go longer than they did.
I've started listening to Christmas music.
Yeah, me too.
I hate Christmas music.
I went through that phase. We bought a real Christmas tree. Oh, let's talk about Christmas tree stands. Norm, have you ever put up a Christmas tree?
Yep.
What kind of stand do you use?
I bought whatever the one they had at Target.
And how big was your tree?
Maybe like 8 feet tall.
Okay, you put it in the living room, the high ceiling?
Yeah.
Seems good. Did you find the Christmas tree stand to be an adequate or an inadequate device?
Absolutely adequate.
Really? Yeah. And it's the kind with like the 4 screws on the side?
Screws it in, yep. Props it up on the ground, and then has water. You can put water.
How worried were you about getting that tree level in the stand?
Not too worried, because it went in the corner. So
it just needed to be level like one way,
yes.
Basically. Yeah. We had for a very long time one of those tree stands. It looked like a really smart thing. It's like a big bucket, and it has 8 screws. So you use the screws to level it, which seems like a brilliant idea, right? Why would you not want that? Except there was no way to turn the screws, because like once you get it in there, then it's real tight, and they were just little nubs on the end, so you couldn't really turn them. You had to put like a screwdriver handle on there and wrench it around or something like that.
That's gonna be a bumper.
It really sucked. It was really bad. So I got a new tree stand this year. We got a real tree for the first time in a long time, because usually we're in Tennessee for the holidays, and it seems dangerous to leave a dead tree in your living room for 2 weeks when you're gone. Yeah,
we were kind of the opposite. Usually when we stay at home, we go to the place and get like a real 6-foot Christmas tree or whatever.
Yeah.
With everything that entails. It can be a bit of a hassle, but it's nice to have a real tree. Because we're traveling this year, we're like, let's not bother, with a tree. But I've kind of felt like we had to have one to some extent. So we just went to Target and got like a little 4.5 foot, a fake one. But those were always good enough for me. I grew up with a plastic tree, and I never minded it.
I grew up with a plastic tree also, and I think my mentality is either go full real tree, like 6 to 10 foot
like
tree.
A huge tree.
Like 6 foot at least.
Yeah. Well, you have ceilings to support it. I only have 8-foot ceilings.
But yeah, it doesn't matter. Regardless, if I had tall ceilings, 6-foot tree is easier to manage, and depending on how many people you have it for. But if you're going to go fake tree, go full on fake, like full on fiber optics and
like the white tree with the sparklies,
like or a pink one or something.
Yeah. Don't go with the really bad fake tree that I grew up with that kind of tried to pass itself off as a meager real tree.
Yeah. You don't want to get that Charlie Brown tree by accident.
No, if you go Charlie Brown tree, go intentional.
Those white or
Charlie
silver
Brown
trees. We had to get something that looked at least halfway real, but we put some lights on it. It looks good.
Yeah, I had forgotten how much I like the smell of the tree. Despite childhood traumas, having a tree in the house is nice.
It is a lot of work though. Like you got to keep that thing hydrated all the time, and then getting it out of the house, like the needles get everywhere. It's a hassle. It's a pain.
Well, and I mean, you have the dog. I don't think we've had a real tree since we had Chloe, and she is at least not one that was on the ground, and she's intrigued by the flavored water bowl in the bottom of the tree.
I'm outside now. I'm outside. It's still warm.
Why is there a tree in the house? Only houses of evil have trees inside from where my people come from. So the tree's in the house. We got this tree stand. So we got a new tree stand, though. And it's maybe a little bit big for the tree that we got. But instead of having screws, it ratchets in. So you push these things in against the trunk, and they lock into place, and then you can screw them down just a little bit to cinch in. Works pretty well. It's not a great tree stand, but it's also not one of those $130 jobs that you push your foot down and just jam the tree in and it automatically locks into place. $130 tree stand seemed ridiculous.
How much was your tree stand?
$25.
Yeah, that's a lot for a tree stand.
I felt like it was a bit much, but it seems like it's sturdy and will last a few years. So, yeah.
All right.
All right, great, brilliant.
You had lunch yet, Gary?
No, and actually, now that the weather is actually quite pleasant outside, I almost regret not coming in because I've been still thinking about those pastrami sandwiches.
Yep. Did not steer you wrong.
Yeah, if you had come in today, we could have ordered pastrami sandwiches.
Ordered them.
That really is a remarkable discovery, and I'm thinking I may even make a dedicated trip just to get pastrami sandwiches.
Oh, fuck off! After all the trouble we went to, you are not allowed.
Well, now the weather's cleared up.
No. I don't want to drive in the rain. He says, "Can we?" And I said, we can Skype you in.
It's not raining anymore.
Oh my god! Oh, if you come down 2 blocks from the office to get a sandwich after I went to the hassle of setting up the Skype stuff, I'm going to be really sad.
I might come down tomorrow instead. I'm not going to come down today.
Okay. If you come down,
oh yeah, tomorrow we might be doing some fun stuff.
Yeah, live-ish.
Right, I just care about pastrami sandwiches.
Well,
that's fun stuff.
You can have pastrami sandwiches.
They really
fun.
were amazing.
They're pretty good sandwiches. They're toasted, so you get the pastrami gets all crunchy like bacon. It's real good. Wish I had a pastrami sandwich right now. I guess that'll do it. It's kind of
sounds good to me.
Petered out fake outtakes, but we'll see you guys next week.
All right, see you later.
Bye. Gary's face. See you, Gary.
See ya. Wait, how do you turn this thing off?
How do you turn this thing? Oh, there it is. Wait. I didn't clap it.